Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer for week 4 of the Americas region. Got Lawler on the comms today, joining me, Matchroom, as always, and it's a pleasure to have you back. You guys actually had some really nice words for us on the subreddit last week, so hopefully we can live up to that hype yet again. But Matchroom, how you doing, brother?
Oh, doing pretty good. No pressure for this week at all. I mean, after what happened with that episode
Yeah,
of Reddit, so
just gonna tank
give
it,
it that
bro.
one.
Just tank it.
Yeah, I know. That's it. Well, we gotta like lower the expectations. So let's drop this down a little
Get
bit.
it
But
out
I'd
of
be
the way
doing
first.
pretty good, except for the fact that I'm being assaulted by a fly. That's like messing with me back here. I don't know how it got in the house, but if you
If
see it zoom in front of me,
if I hear you go quiet anytime, I expect some like karate or something in the background when I like tune into your caster mic and stuff and be like, what's going on over there? I hope to see
just
you doing
wait.
some kung fu or something. Like,
That backdrop back behind me is getting taken down. It's gonna be a thing.
well, enough of our shenanigans. We're going to jump here right away into the tournament schedule to kind of talk to you guys about what's going down today. Like I said, it is week 4 out of our 5, but a little bit different and a little bit more on the line here. Obviously, with it being a 5-week culmination of points and everything coming down and it coming down to the wire, right now we're actually kind of in the final moments. A lot of these teams, especially the top 10 teams, are going to be the ones that automatically guarantee themselves a spot in the finals on August 1st. So a lot on the line here, even though we have our 2 different divisions. But again, week 4 of 5 going on today, as we then take a jump in to see how this all plays out. If we look at the point system and our price pool, you guys can kind of see how it breaks down. But for today's schedule in general, 6 matches as always, 3 on World's Edge, 3 on Kings Canyon. You guys know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get everything started off with the tactical side of it. World's Edge, where rotations are king. But then we're going to move over to Kings Canyon, where it's all about violence and speed. How well can you keep up with what's going on around you as it ends up with a lot of earlier firefights inside of it. So I'm excited that we get to see both maps.
Yeah, it should be an exciting one. Obviously, we talk about the intimacy of the Kings Canyon, something that people are a little bit more into. But again, it is a battle, and this is what they're playing for. $100,000 on the line total. First place taking $15,000, the lion's share. But how they actually end up doing it, you're talking about there is points for not only placement, but also for kill points. But the big benefit to being in that higher division, the Alpha division, is you do get double.
Oh, it's about the double points right now. And remember, we are looking for the top 10 teams. I know everything sounds confusing. We're throwing multiple lobbies at you. Double points inside of one lobby. Top 10 overall leaderboard. Overall point system. Kills per point. Prize pool. It seems like so much. But I promise you, as we start going through everything, we'll make sure to keep on reminding you so that way it doesn't seem all that confusing.
All you guys need to know is that there's 6 matches going on today, and the people that perform the best are putting themselves in a better position. So nothing too difficult, but as Matchup said, we'll try to do our best to keep you guys up to date with all the action, whether it be on an individual level or on the overall structure that is playing out here at the GLL Masters Summer. So again, we appreciate you guys coming and joining us today. A lot of matches to get underway, but there's a lot of teams with that as well. So if we want to take a look at that, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit on the daily schedule. As you guys know, there's 6 matches, but all the teams that are going to be involved here and make it a little bit easier for you all. This is the Alpha Division, but the total overall leaderboard. This is everybody based upon points at who's in the top 20. And the big thing to pay attention to is on the left-hand side, the teams that find themselves in the top 10 are going into the grand finals at the beginning of August. So teams, after all their weeks, all 5 weeks of play, need to make sure they're in the top 10. That's the biggest one, but the big one for the end of today is these top 10 teams will guarantee themselves a spot there. On the later half of that will then be the last chance, which is week 5. We're going to take the bottom 10 from the Alpha Division and the top 10 from the Bravo Division, and those 20 will then play it out for a chance to play in the grand finals as well. So still 1 week left of the league play per se, but then the grand finals are coming up here, and we got to reward the guys that showed consistently through the first 4 weeks. You get a guaranteed spot. So a lot of confusion there. If you guys have questions, we'll try to keep touching on that, but these are our bottom 20 all the way from 21 to 40.
All right, let's make it super simple for everybody. If you're in the Alpha Division, which is like the people that have been performing the highest right now, you get double points for the remainder of the day. If you end up in the top 10 overall between all of the leaderboards combined between Alpha and Bravo, then you get to go on. Then if you're in 11 through 30, then these guys are going to be playing it out to find out what are the next 10 teams and what's going to be going on next week. So whenever we're looking at this, we're looking at everything combined overall. And yes, in Bravo Division, you don't make the double points. But let's just say you had a bad week and you ended up over here, which has happened to a couple of our teams. You can go murder the world over there potentially and still walk away with a ton of points to keep that top 10 position.
Very, very well said. Kind of the easy way to look at it in chunks. Top 10, and then 11 through 30. It's the easiest way to look at it, but again, we're going to try our best to update you guys on the total leaderboards, as there is a lot on the line with that $100,000. So again, if you guys stay tuned with us, we'll try to pick into it after every couple matches or so, just to keep you guys up to date, but a whole lot on the line here. But we're going to kind of focus now here on the attending teams and the teams that we really want to keep our eyes on. This is for today in the Alpha Division. This is our top 20 teams based upon last week in week 3. Familiar faces, I would say, matchup that we're used to, and some old favorites coming back like Anime Girls Uwu.
Oh, you beat me to saying it, but Sentinels has been on a tear lately. Also got to keep our eyes back over towards Rogue as well as TSM. TSM, well, right now we're looking at the overall points for the day. When you looked at that overall leaderboard, you probably noticed that TSM has a massive lead moving into today. But yes, these are our top teams that you've been seeing. If you've been watching competitive Apex for a long time, you know these guys. They might have different roster, they might have a different team name, but the rosters are all going to be composed of people that you guys are familiar with.
Now, the ones that you guys may not be familiar with, because this is an open qualification system, and we have people promoting and demoting and a lot of things to that with a lot of moving parts. The 5 teams that have promoted in: Wraith, One Tricks, 303 has made it back after a stellar performance last week. Solafide, same situation. Anime Girls Uwu, and then Roof Koreans. So those are the 5 teams that have moved back into the Alpha Division that are going to be able to take advantage of that double point system. On the other side, if we want to take a look here at the Bravo Division, the 5 teams that ended up dropping down: Team Superior, BKB, Free Smoke, Yukio Empire, and I think it was Easy Katka, both them and HRN, because HRN had a little bit better performance in the overall placement. Even though they tied points, they get to stay with it. So really rough situation there for Easy Katka, just literally coming down to overall placement that dropped them back down. But again, we have seen this before. 303 is a prime example. They dropped down. They had a phenomenal performance. They actually got more points than some of the teams in the Alpha Division and made up for it. So these guys need to go out, go heavy, and start fragging like we love to see here in the Americas.
Well, we will be predominantly covering everything in Alpha Lobby, but we'll be giving you updates on everything that's going on over in Bravo. Teams you really want to keep an eye on, though, are probably going to be Team Superior and BKB. These guys have had moments where they can just amass a lot of points, especially whenever we look back over towards the Bravo lobby. So gonna have to keep an eye on how they're managing to accumulate points, so that way whenever we look at that overall leaderboard, it isn't quite so scary. I'm kind of curious, did we ever find out anything? Are we going to bring back in some of the EU casters now that we have Anime Girls Uwu over here in the Alpha Division again?
I think Onset had a long day this morning, so probably not. Hopefully he's in chat willing to give us a hard time like he always does, but we'll see what ends up happening to him with his stupid bald head. So we'll find out what ends up happening there as we throw some shade back at him. But again,
that's
it's all
like 0 to 100 like that.
Oh yeah,
bro.
dude,
like,
that's just our relationship.
Like, bam.
That's just our relationship, man. We don't hold back towards each other. It's just pure passion. It's what we want.
Oh, is it one of those kind of things where it's pure passion? I know. See, I understand.
Maybe behind closed doors. We'll see how it goes. COVID's kind of a weird place, so
it really is these days. I don't even know. Like, sometimes I have to try to remember what month it is. So kudos to everybody that's actually tuned in and constantly keeping track of whenever you guys can watch some competitive Apex. You guys are amazing. So with this, we're getting everything set and ready. The lobby is almost full to get everything underway for the day. So, question I have moving into today is TSM with their massive lead.
It's not even fair.
Do you think that they're going to continue to play, I guess, what we know as the tried and true TSM, or do you think that they might try to use this opportunity to maybe test out some new things?
So I think it goes both ways, because a lot of people saw Rogue with their consistency, right? Like, everybody kind of went back and reverted to the Watsons and the more defensive, more passive play styles, because it worked. It's what they were comfortable with, and that has worked significantly over the weeks. In the tail end of last week, TSM did start pulling out Crypto, Revenant, some of the more aggressive plays with that overwhelming, okay, EMP, immediately aggress, wipe the squad, good to go. they didn't have the better placements, but the kills were still there. I mean, you're talking last week overall, they had 138 points. They still took the victory when it came to overall point gain last week. So I do have a feeling that because TSM has in the overall leaderboards a point average of 104 above anybody else, I feel like they can get away with some things. So I honestly hope they try it. I hope they try, because I really want to see them try new strategies and find a way to exploit without any worry of losing their spot. Like, they're guaranteed top 10. They can't not. They could get 0 points and still have way more than everybody else. So
I mean, right now I'm trying to do the rough math. Let's just say an average day, they're at least, if you're racking up a massive amount of kills, a 2-game lead. At bare minimum, usually actually closer to about 3.
Probably 3, yeah. If you think about it, it's probably 3.
We're in alpha, so we get the double points, so that's where the math gets all a little bit wonky. But having half a day that you can kind of screw around with is not the... I feel like this might be the largest lead I have ever seen in a Battle Royale competition like this. Don't quote me on that one, but it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, and I think we're going to kind of be talking about that as the overall storyline for the whole day. TSM has basically solidified themselves. Rogue is in that conversation. Sentinel's doing really well as well. I think for Rogue and Sentinels, the ability to kind of push forward and get a little bit more of a leeway, I think, is going to be a big deal. But as for TSM, I do feel like if there's a map that they're very strong on, which in most cases is Kings Canyon, that's kind of their breakout performance every single week. I feel like they kind of get warmed up, get the mechanics going, and then if they're feeling it, like if Hal's just landing those shots, Eberleli, I don't even have to question. Of course he's going to land his. But if they're feeling it today, you might see that more aggressive playstyle. And I think the first game is going to be very telling. So I hope, Spectator, calling you out right now, jump in with TSM right away. Give us our overall leader like you guys always do, so I can see what their team comp is right out the gate. Because that's going to give us a very telling story about how it's going to play out for the rest of today.
So whenever we're looking back over at how everything is breaking across through the entirety of the leaderboard, naturally we talk about the lead with TSM up towards the top. Rogue, who's been very, very dominant. Sentinels is only 8 points back behind them at the time. Then we have a huge gap again back down towards 303. Right back behind them is going to be iShiny, Muffins, Protectful, and then close behind that is going to be MVP and Liquid. And then we have another kind of decent gap back down to Team Superior, but remember Superior is back over in Bravo today, so they're going to have their work cut out for them. So we're kind of looking at 3 different categories whenever we look at the leaderboard, with about 20 to 30 between each one. So if you're really wanting to climb, you can't just have one successful game. One successful game might make you like jump 1 spot, but you have to have multiple successful games if you're somebody like, let's say, Liquid, to have a hope to catch up against 303, who at the present time is about 40, or closer to about 15 to 20 points ahead of them. But right now, just trying to catch up to a team like Team Sentinels, who has almost a 70-point lead themselves above 303, this is just... We're going to need to see some big plays. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some aggression come out from these middle-of-the-pack top 10 teams.
Yeah, the hardest part is not just trying to go for a big point swing, but you also need those teams at the top to also not perform well.
Yeah.
Because that's the hardest part about catching up, is like, yeah, you can have a really good game, but if the other team is still like 2nd, 3rd, 4th behind you, and they have the kills to boot for it along the way, it makes it negligible, and all that hard work and effort you put in bumps you up at best maybe a spot or 2. So again, it's not an easy task. The benefit, though, in previous weeks is we have seen numerous times where TSM and Rogue and Energy and all these top guys are the ones eliminating each other. So they are doing the heavy lifting a majority of the time for you, but at the end of the day, that's who you run into at the end. And we've seen numerous fights. I remember last week when we had, I think it was Energy up top, Sentinels out far, and then TSM was underneath on Kings Canyon. And it's like, of course, these are the 3 teams in the end. And of course, they're all fighting and TSM comes out on top. That's just how it goes. So it's going to be a wild day today. I'm excited to get into the action. We've got just about everybody into the lobby. We're only waiting on, it looks like, 1 more person. I don't know who this lucky person is that we're waiting on, but we're about to get into the matches here soon. So again, we appreciate you guys all being patient as we kind of load in the lobbies. The first one's always the major important one, because then once we get into the swing of things, it's just cut and paste and we fly through the rest of the matches. So again, we appreciate you guys being here for the GLL Master Summer. It's week 4 with myself, Lawler, and Matcham here, ready to call the action, get into the action, because it is going to be, I think, a little bit unique today because of the way the point system is starting to come down and evolve towards the end of our league play.
Yeah, it's a kind of an interesting situation, is whenever you end up with these giant point gaps in between sections of the leaderboard, it leads to different teams in behaving certain ways. One, it means the fact that if you're on the chase for those extra points, you know that you have to go for those kills. But you were talking about a second ago, we kind of have like, I guess, a couple of alpha packs that run around the map that whenever a couple of teams see this, unless they know that they can get an amazing third party, they'll pull away from it and just kind of give space.
Which is smart.
I mean, if you're going for it, you know the fact that you can maybe catch somebody else, try to capitalize off of that. Try to.
Not everybody's sniped down, man, right? Like,
yeah,
not everybody can be sniped
no
down and just be like, oh yeah, I land these and just goes, you know. I think we joked about this last week about how like people were talking about their ideal composition. He's like, yeah, it'd be me and like snipe. And he's like, nah, 2 snipe downs and me. I think that'd be a really good team. Like, I forget whose comp. I think it was
snipe downs and I just retire. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I think it was complexity. Yeah, that was joking about that. Like. They understand how talented some of these guys are, man. And Snipe Down is just a freak. He really is. He's so good.
That's one of the things I really like about the Apex community is they're very aware of who is good at what, and they don't mind gassing up other players inside of it. Whenever somebody does something good, it's just like, oh, hey, look, this guy's really, like, even whenever you're competing against them, you can have a form of respect for the people that you're playing against and know, oh, hey, if I'm, like, in this case, I'm on complexity, I know the fact that over on the other side of this, Snipe Down is a phenomenal player. He's got great aim. There's no harm whenever you're doing the research and acknowledging these style of things. A lot of the times people think like, oh, well, you have to think that you're the best at everything all the time in order to be a competitive player. That's not true. Especially whenever you look at Battle Royales. Sometimes just map knowledge and maneuverability through the map and just good game sense can really provide a lot for your team.
I mean, that's how I play. I've always been more of a support player. I've always been there as a person that's known for callouts. I think that's more of a commentator thing in general, where our communication is actually where we excel because that's what we do. So having that map knowledge and that game IQ allows you to make up for a lot of things. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I wanted to know what was going to happen with TSM as we jump in here to our first game on World's Edge. Back to the tried and true Pathfinder, Watson, and a Wraith. So not risking it just yet. Maybe we'll see them pull it out in the tail end in Kings Canyon, but for right now, right out of the gate, back to the originals.
We know exactly where these guys are going to land. We know the comps that they're going to run. There is nothing atypical about what's going on right now. They're just going to keep everything super simple. Make sure to run through the system. If it's not broke, don't fix it kind of situation. So, with this, going to see a lot of territory control come into play. Very quick looting. You can see already got 2 blue shields to work with. Looking around the side, taking a couple of shots, but this is more just control. Let people know the fact that you've got an eye on what's going on around you. So, looks like we already have information on where that first circle is going to be at, but a little bit of a chase coming through right now, and TSM on the hunt, but not capable of finding out anybody just quite yet. Well, I say that. Looks like MS Shade does find himself on the receiving end. Gonna find himself dropped.
Jumping on board with Reps, trying to see if he can find something in this. Does find an extra couple shield cells as Imperial Hell gonna pop that Phoenix kit before he gets back into action. No, it's actually just a battery. Rotating on the back end. Looks like they're going to aggress here on the south side. So very early team fight. With getting Shade down makes sense for them to kind of push with full force. But doing so, making sure they're fully healthy before they do so. Big chase down here, and the longer this goes on, the more they need to be careful. As obviously many people are aware of where TSM does like to land. So they hear a lot of shots breaking out. Could be an opportunity for someone to play spoiler as shields cracked and Reps does drop down West. So only one left and on the run. Gonna have to hide. As with a Wraith and a Pathfinder, very difficult to get away.
Well, this is the way you want to play it in early stages of the game. If you know you've got the loot control, we talked about the blue shields already had high ground, had the information, newer rotations, and the escape were going to come through. Then also got an introductory knock and a kill. Oh, let's just go ahead and finish this one out. That's just good information control right there, as we're going to see E-Boy running.
Ooh, no!
No! Ooh, why are you going to do this to us? All right, well, they get spotted out. Respect for dropping
take two. I want to hear your best, like, anime protagonist that's going to come back in the later rounds.
This is a different one for me to do here. Never been put on the spot like this. Worry not. You may have taken me down in this round, but I will come back for you. I will come for you, TSM!
That was pretty good. It's pretty good. I'll give you that, man. That was pretty sick. Well, unfortunately for
all that time doing voiceover work.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Anime Goes, they aren't. Dude, I can't even say it seriously. They will be knocked out immediately. So, unfortunately, I feel Onset is crying in the distance somewhere. But plenty of time. 5 matches left as they get eliminated. And first victim for TSM. So we'll see how that ends up playing out in the future. But as you said, kind of on a more serious note, TSM plays that really well. They get a knock early on. They aggress. They have the loot advantage. And then it's just the overwhelming numbers. So well played by TSM as we jump over here with TLP. Shots coming out on the backside with 96 and TEQ. Getting dropped down. Luckily, he's got Leon on the backside, but left alone. And the Bob and Weave with that Spitfire. The crossfire isn't even going to matter. As Wraith One Tricks, the team that recently promoted, is going to wipe a squad.
Good play coming out of that. On the hunt, you can see it's going to be NRG. Now I'm making a reposition over. As you saw, going to quickly capitalize back over towards us. Got to avoid out the throwables. Frag grenades not going to get connected for too much. Go ahead and take out the gate, but trying to find the angle to work with. Go ahead and start throwing out the throwables of your own. Try to get that bounce back over, and good taps with the wingman. Going to try to run this one in as quick as possible, and that's a lot of control coming out from NRG very quickly.
That's what you want to see out of NRG. They've been a team that's been middle of the pack from every single week, just haven't been able to find their footing, but I do think the more aggressive play definitely suits their style. They've been having to sit a bit more passive, and that's when they get third party and overwhelmed, but they have the gun mechanics. They're plenty good at shooting, so I think because they've been having more struggles with the rotationary style, if they just aggress and commit to it, at least they're going to be rewarded for their efforts with kills.
Oh, and look at this. Smiles got plenty of vision to work with, but they know the fact that if they try to make this run across through the open area, there's not a lot of cover to work with. Instead, just play it slow, patient. There's a lot of times whenever you can just kind of lean up against the walls, especially in different locations, as long as you don't move. A lot of people's vision is drawn back over towards movement, so trying to spot out a pixel just hiding out in point is going to pay off. And how many times have we seen like genderifying, making sure to put a ton of use into that?
A little too much, actually. Whether he's hiding in a corner or doing something else, I feel like he always has an answer. Either way, Smile basically looked like an old Western movie here, following the train, as I think they hunted down 303 on the back end, but 303 ended up splitting the other way. So shouldn't see too much aggression from these two teams early just yet, as we jump back on board with Sentinels over here at Lava.
Oh, this feels familiar.
What are they trying to do with this rotation?
I think they're just trying to set up easy rotation points as needed to go back over, maybe try to get a little bit of loot. Remember, this is due center of the circle. Right now, with a little bit of Pathfinder knowledge, everybody's going to be aware that, yet again, we are getting a thermal station game. This map really likes thermal station, and it feels like it comes back over here at least, I'd say 1 out of every 3 times I play or watch competitive.
I mean, for us, it's been like 3 out of 3 times, honestly. Yeah. It's all we honestly get. I'm kind of okay with it. I think it's a really fun place to play. Reminiscent of last week, I think it was Sentinels that got middle of control and up top, and it was like them, TSM, and one other team that fought that they ended up coming up top. And even with, I think it was Repster Imperial Hal that had the Kraber shots last week, but it just didn't matter.
A lot of deja vu positioning coming back in over there. As you can see, Rogue already taking outside point back over next to Thermal Station. They got a lot of kills in a good game for them one time with that. MVP already under fire. You can see Exelon's already down. Going to be in a little bit of trouble. I'm Madness up towards the top, trying to get away from the position. Pal still letting on a smidgen of it's going to be armor to work with, but Shield's going to have to be careful with this one. It's going to be NRG that's on the hunt. You said you like to see these guys move aggressively. They are definitely trying to get the most out of that inside this round so far.
Hey man, it's a really big deal, especially when the one you're knocking is Alberlelli, one of the top fraggers in the NA region, but finding a pretty good spot here in the corner. Should be able to get that revive off and be safe and healthy. But need to watch their flanks, trying to watch their angles in that choke point, just making sure that nobody's there for the push. If they do, they have the rift they can take elsewhere, but should be okay. And I think that's the benefit of TSM, is immediately knowing their situation. They have to back off, revive a player. Reps is still up top, has high grounded coverage on rotation. He's still able to rotate downhill if he needs to, but then has the cover to supply for his teammate so his teammate can get the revive. So TSM fully healthy yet again, which is unfortunate. And this is kind of the detriment to NRG, is NRG does find themselves in these positions, and either they commit heavily or they allow them to get back in. In this case, they had advantage on TSM. So jumping over to Unknown here, trying to gatekeep a couple of these teams on the way in and out, but wow, a ton of damage being taken.
I really like the control coming out, but they're going to get pincered on 2 different points. Quick down coming through there, and it's going to be the Gibraltar Shield going, buying a little bit more space. You can see Matt Pickett way up towards the top. Doesn't have a lot that he can do from that position, so he's going to go down. Emal 303 on a little bit of a hunt. Team Liquid already back over on the side of this, looking back down on everything that's going on around them. It's going to be the remnants of the fight we were seeing just a second ago, but Flaker has to be a little bit careful, taking a little bit of damage.
Trying to follow out. Throws the Arc Star melee on the back side of the canister. Trying to get that actually inside a little bit, but I don't think he's been able to connect. You might see him on the back end. It's actually our lovely spectator giving us some wall hacks here. Oh, one does pop out, tries to take some shots and gets lit up. So Casper just needs a couple of bits of damage, 2 with the wingman to actually level up that Evo shield. but just has not been able to connect. He's going to back out, let his teammate take a peek as the other two rotate. But this is kind of the predicament they've put themselves in. Not a whole lot of places to go with open cover and angles on every single side, but trying to see the rotation come in. They drop the portal, just absolutely lasers them down, and they might be able to get the flush.
Good play coming out from Matt Pickett there, being patient, had the vision to work with, had an idea on how the approach was going to go through. Now going to go ahead and be rewarded with a little bit of tasty treats. Nice delivery coming out from Team Liquid there. So now the problem is they still have a long way to go, and you can see they do have a team that's out inside the zone right now, so Crummy's going to be playing this one to figure out how he's going to go up and forward. New Brainer's also in a very similar location, trying to go, okay, well, what do we do? There's a lot of teams that are all posted up, and it looks like gatekeeping is the name of the game for this location right now.
Seems to be a hard position, especially with this many teams, and they're still trapped inside here, so trying to just take a couple peeks, see what, yeah, there's not a lot of room to work with, and for New Brainers, Hakula has been kind of their star player. He's been the one that's been most consistent with those shots, so trying to make a wide rotation here and go back to the other side where it actually ended up working perfectly, so gonna throw some arc stars, see if he can get him through. Shots coming out here from Zera. Able to land a little bit more, but there's still another team up top with Unknown, just trying to cover the backside, but this damage ticking away so much puts him in a really rough situation, especially with giving away his position. So unfortunately for him, I don't know if he has any options rather than just kind of waiting out. But what a shot! He drops it with the longbow and gets rewarded as the new kill leader. What a pop to the face.
What is up inside that corner? There is so much death just hanging out over there, so got to be careful now. Matt Pickett still outside in the zone, trying to figure out what he's got to go do 15 seconds before it starts to move away from him. Meanwhile, Team Liquid going ahead and making their run out and away from this position. Looks like they don't want to get too caught up on what's happening at the direct time. They were kind of trying to be patient, see if they could maybe third, or in this case, fourth party what was going on around that area. But it looks like instead they're just going to go ahead and make their break back over towards the new safe zone, try to get control over that, as they know that there's going to be remnants of teams chasing back behind them.
You can also see the major difference too, that Evo shield now on Nocturnal. Not sure if he had one on his own as well, but it's been leveled all the way up to purple. As for Casper, he now has a purple shield too. So quite a bit of difference here in the armor for Team Liquid, but as they back off, I think probably the safer play. They haven't really been able to take too many good peeks, and the shots that did come out weren't landing, so might as well rotate to the circle and play a little bit of gatekeep.
HRN back over here towards the south of the safe zone right now. Looks like they're trying to get a little bit more information to work with, and they have a good vantage point to do that from. Problem is that there's a lot of teams that have already kind of stacked up in general locations around them. They know that they have to be a little bit more careful about this. They're going to have to right over here, right next to the edge of the safe zone to work with. So they've got a little bit of territory control, but they don't like how much they've had aggression off to the side. As we're continuing to be funneled back in towards Thermal, remember the fact that we have several teams that have already posted up and have had strong performances from Thermal already just inside of this event. So we'll have to see how that manages to play out with, I believe it's going to be Rogue and Sentinels, one playing on the off position with a lot of kill potential based off the positioning, as well as Sentinels playing due up towards the center. And yes, New Circle's going to pop. Not going to be too far away, but HRN's going to have to make a little bit of a position back over towards the north.
Something else to note from HRN is the fact that they are still using energy more. Part of that original energy squad with Dizzy and Ace, I think it was last week was the first time he got brought in as a sub, so they're continuing with him after pretty solid performance overall, but just see how it'll play out today. Looking for that consistency that he can provide as we jump over with Team Liquid. Shots coming in and out. Trying to use that Thermite, end up going to close the door and use the Watson to their advantage, trying to give some sort of protection here, using that passive on the ultimate to regen the shields, needing to buy as much time as they can, but absolutely surrounded. It's going to be MVP just on the outside here. And Pow Pow doing a great job, trying to just quick peek on top of that rock to get some high elevation for an angle, and then immediately drop him back down. Just wants information to the best of his ability, but it looks like he's going to rotate back to his team.
One thing to note inside that little bit of a fight that was going on with Team Liquid, did you notice the fact that after taking a couple of hits, retreated back into a corner and then went for the shield cell, knowing the fact that even though people were fighting, that's trust in your team to protect you whenever that's going through. That's something we don't get a chance to talk about a lot, and as far as competitive Apex goes, is sometimes you know you're in a disadvantaged position. And how many times have you been caught in a firefight and you're like, oh my god, my team's fighting, and you break off your health or your shield cell so that way you can go and assist the team. Just having that confidence to go, no, my boy has got it, I'm just going to go ahead and wait this one through, get back to fighting strength, and then come back into it says a lot about the trust that these guys have in each other.
Yeah, I think it's a really big deal, the ability to just engage and kind of way off. I mean, that's the whole reason you pick these team compositions, right? With the legends that you have. Watson is there to provide a defensive ability. So if people do push, those fences are going to absolutely wreck them. So a lot of throwables happen down here on HRN as they find themselves in a really rough spot. You're going to see more using that phase shift to try to provide some time, I guess, over in general, just to make sure that they can get out of here. But they're absolutely surrounded. You got Ziploc up top. You got TSM to the side as we jump over to Solifide, a team recently promoted back in here to the Alpha Division. A couple shots coming down. Amberlelli and the kill feed as well getting involved. So a lot of action breaking down here in our final 14 squads. Going to see a whole lot of it too in this next circle as it starts to push in just a few seconds. But Solifide doing a great job here on the gatekeep.
We talk about that a lot. Whenever you choose to take those early game skirmishes, sometimes you can find yourself in a disadvantaged position because you're always chasing the circle and somebody could potentially gatekeep you out. Team Liquid is on the receiving end of that right now. As you can see, it looks like the Ring is actually going to take out Casper right now. That's never a good position to be playing from, but down back below the main part of Thermal, you can see it's going to be HRN. I'm not exactly certain who's up towards the top. I believe that it is Sentinels right now. I doubt that they would have left that positioning, but TSM...
Ziploc Bags is top center, actually. Yeah, we Bags right now. Yeah, we saw them very briefly from the Spectator. Shoutouts to the Spectator crew here at GLL. You guys crush it every single week. But yeah, top on Lava in the in Thermal Station, where Sentinels played so well. The one that we talked about with TSM and the Kraber earlier on today. Ziploc Bags has that position and are absolutely dominating with it. So, unfortunately for them, they're going to have to rotate out.
Oh, yep. We've seen the circle shift back over towards the southwest. That means a couple of these teams, specifically over towards the north, are going to find themselves in a lot of trouble. This is not an easy area to navigate in the slightest. You can see all these little peak angles that can work with. TSM putting it to great use right now. They still have themselves a nice defended position that is in the safe zone, but they are in the kill funnel. Meanwhile, on the other side of this, MVP trying to take a couple of shots onto this I Am Madness near on no life, trying to get out of the position. Pal is just getting utterly decimated back behind him and does go down. Madness does escape, but he's still going to have to continue on his path towards the safe zone, and there is no easy way to get there right now, as I believe multiple teams are stacked up. NRG now finding themselves in a difficult spot. A couple of shots going to come through and just trying to get away from it. Nathan's the last one up, just trying to put in some work. His teammates trying to provide some shields, some type of support for him. Gets off enough damage to at least take down one, but it's not going to be enough in the end.
No, here's the team we're talking about. Ziploc Bags up top, just able to third party this fight. So having that advantage angle, there's so many teams down here below, but good effort by NRG, able to find a lot of shots and damage using the teams as shields, but so much more down here as well. As you see, NRG end up getting one with the bleed out, but it is Ziploc Bags that jump down and get the cleanup. So well played and very decisive, and that's what we want to talk about. The ability for a lot of these teams and fights happening. And towards the tail end, as long as you come in third party and land a couple of your shots, they're already probably at half health. So easy cleanup for them and a great job taking that vantage point and then being decisive to move down and finish it up. MVP here on the tail end, just kind of waiting to see what's happening. Madness was able to back out, and both his teammates were able to get back up as well. So, gonna reap the rewards, and desperately needed here is looting those bodies from NRG.
I love to see it. Also, do note the fact that it was MVP that was involved in that fight. Shiny Muffins, Protectful are the ones that went down. So while they are 5th and 6th respectively, there's an opportunity coming up for them. Solifide just continuing up on their rush. You can see that is just an absolute laser beam focus coming in on the control with that push in. Now trying to get a little bit of defensive positioning. You know that this is an ultimate that's used a little bit early. They're not inside the safe zone yet, but they know the fact that they're playing from a disadvantaged position. So trying to be as careful as possible. Taking a couple of shots. It's going to be the aggressors coming in, but quick pickup coming around. Metro's going to retreat back over, but the Ring's going to come in, do a little bit more work, tap them off, and now it's going to be a little bit of a problem as Pride's trying to retreat right along the side of it, but gonna get spotted out the side, and that's going to be them taken down.
You can just see the difficulty. They knew they were at a disadvantage. We jump in a fight with Sentinels. Been pretty quiet so far. Shots coming out left and right. You're seeing them go up against CLG Madness up in the screen and drop down as a Pathfinder. So going to be removed for the efforts. It's Watson here being rewarded. 303 on the outside as well. TSM's old spot. Looks like they've rotated away and been pushed out. So a couple teams stacked up on top of here, but recognizing that a lot of these teams here from the west in the kind of east area, both rotating through, trying to move wherever they can from the north down, but just layering on top of each other, getting gate kept by whoever's just sitting there waiting to prey. Is again 303, perfect vantage point here.
303 has shown in the past that they can play this position quite well. A lot of these teams are going to have to make their way as the hard shift does shift back over towards the southwest yet again. A double stack like that means that teams that were originally playing towards the edge of the ring specifically towards the north and the east, are going to find themselves in a lot of trouble. The last remaining member of TSM just looking back, trying to listen in on the footsteps going on around them. You can see we got the x-ray up so you guys can have a little bit of an idea on what's going on. But 303 is still just trying to hold a defensive line, make sure that nobody can come up back behind them. But the problem with it is 20 seconds, they're going to have to make a move of their own. If they can't finish this fight quickly, they know that they're in some trouble.
A lot of open area they're going to have to push through, as you mentioned, so need to be careful. And a lot of things that these guys have in the mind. And for people asking in chat, this day is super important. Whoever finds themselves in the top 10 overall through all 4 weeks will get themselves a guarantee in the grand finals, while the rest, 11 through 30, have to play in the last chance next week. So again, top 10, super important here today to guarantee yourself into the grand finals and a chance at the $100,000. As MVP peeking left and right, just seeing if you can spot anybody else. Smile on the gatekeep, knows there's a bubble there. They're gonna have to push out here shortly. He does have one sliding right towards them, trying to land those shots with the wingman. Not able to get it, but don't worry, throw 3 scissors there to get rid of Alberlelli. So a huge pickup here on TSM, as Smile just being the ones bullying 303 now on the rotation.
Nice reposition, trying to get that high ground, looking back in at everybody that's moving. MVP, do you manage to make it inside the safe zone? No shift, goes back down towards the south yet again. Our northern teams are just trying to find some way to move up and forward. MVP is trying to get a couple of taps back over on anybody that peeks through the window, but there's not a lot of options for movement in front of MVP. They can see that there's this open area, 4 teams up and active, still 10 people moving around this tiny bit of circle to work with. So you can see pings coming out now, trying to find which angle to work with. Say maybe they can get a little bit of tap damage over, use that opportunity to make the push back down towards the south, but don't want to make the run and gun option just yet. Hiding out in a sneaky of sneaky spots. I love the rat cam that GLL is providing right now. It's going to be designful, somehow managing to find himself a beautiful position to buy a little bit more space. And at this point, he's just hoping everybody fights him.
You know, it's not gentrifying, but it's at least his teammate Amos is having a really big week last week with multiple wins. So a lot of people have their eyes on them, but able to just do whatever they can. Is Yeet Squad getting Bowser drop down here. He's going to push him through the portal and back inside to go for the revive. For those that do not know that, good mechanic is being able to punch your teammate will actually propel them forward a little bit faster rather than crawling. But again, very difficult spot as we have all these teams. The big one to pay attention to is MVP in those crates. Yes, they have the Watson ultimate up, and you saw how beneficial it was against the Gibraltar ultimate, but a rough rotation for them. They're going to use this portal here from Smile to see if they can take multiple angles.
I love this reposition coming up from Smile. All the aggression is moving back over towards the house. You can see MVP's on one side of the wall. On the other side of it's going to be Smile now. With these repositions now, everybody that's assaulting the house has to be ridiculously careful. Circle's coming in. Grenade's going to land. Petty Boss is going to connect back over towards Vaxilon, but up on top of it's going to be Smile just spraying back down into everything. A lot of control coming back through. New kill leader pops off as well. Smile still sitting on a ton of health and utility to work with. Now moving into the next tiny circle as there are just 2 squads left to work with. But Smile has so much control at this point. Just going to go ahead and continue to rain in throwable damage. Take the spray off to the side. You know that you've got everything to work with. It's going to be Yeet Squad trying to survive this one through, but they're not going to get it. It's all smiles on Smile as they walk away with a round victory.
Just phenomenal play on the back end there. You saw exactly the play that really solidified it. Using that Wraith portal to move and take the wide rotation was absolutely phenomenal. Have the high ground on the rock, able to basically suffocate and funnel everybody into that same spot. And if things got bad, they just rotated back out with the portal, able to take wide ground, and they have zone control on that. So phenomenal play from them towards the end, able to catch it up, and it all comes down. Which team is going to rotate south first? What's going to get that positioning and gatekeep the rest? Because it looked like it was going to be a 303. But there was yet another team behind them, and it just kept being this domino effect. So really well controlled by Smile. As we take a look at the highlights here in game number 1. Start out with TSM able to take down Anime Girls Uwu. We got a fantastic impression by you. And then from there was kind of just chaos everywhere. We didn't really have any slow moments in this game.
Yeah, I kind of want to hit up the end of the game, so that way whenever you guys see it, you can have an idea on what's going to be coming through. Smile had a good idea on how the aggression was going to move through, specifically in that last circle. Smile had control of all the no man's land that was around them, just flat territory, and the cover pieces were all going to focus back over towards the other house. So they threw down the Wraith portal, repositioned off on the point.
That longbow
such
shot.
a
Even the slow-mo.
Give it to me again. All right, so with the idea and knowing how everybody is going to be moving, they knew where all of the fighting was going to happen, and they herded everybody back over into that position. Once they had all of the fighting happening, then they repositioned it into what is a safe spot and then just took over that end game. So look at the repositions, look at the territory control, and look at the awareness on how all the other teams are going to move. That just stacked up a beautiful victory for Smile in that last round.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too, you see on the tail end as well. 303 and the rest of those teams, they get really aggressive. Ziploc comes down and they push in. And some teams, even though I do like the automatic aggression and kind of playing cleanup, because they desperately need it based upon the loot that they had, you see the benefits of being a little bit more passive and sitting back. Towards the tail end here, Smile doesn't have to aggress. They can sit back and just kind of wait for all these teams from the house to funnel into that position because they have zone control. And they just play cleanup. They just sit on the outside, and that crossfire is just naturally built. And they've got hard cover there with the fence. So no matter what position they take on that, as long as they approach it the way that they do, and credit to them, you can't discredit them for making that decision to play a little bit aggressive, apply that pressure. So they push the team back into the other one. And then when things get a little too hairy and a little too dicey, they back out. So fantastic play from Smile on the tail end there. You see exactly what it is. But guys, that's game one. Very aggressive plays out here already in World's Edge. But we're going to take a quick break here at the GLL Master Summer. When we come back, we're going to have game two underway. Don't go anywhere. Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer for the Americas region. Lawler here alongside Matchroom calling the action. We just wrapped up game one where Madness ended up having the biggest clutch of his life after being almost down with 0 health. Able to escape, come back, and get the victory for his team. So well played by them. But man, what a great first game. We're going to take a look here at the leaderboard to kind of show you guys how things played out without any hesitation. And let's take a peek who ended up coming out on top. Obviously Smile, like we said, with a big game in the placement, but some different names up towards the top, which is exciting to see because, again, top 10 is super important at the end of the day.
I got my eye still over on MVP. As you can see, Eyeshine Muffin's Protectful only got 4 inside that last one. So that could be a lot of very needed points to help them catch up back behind that. Smile walking away with 10 kills, though. Holy hell, good job to those guys. Yeet Squad coming in third. Aim Assist, TSM back behind it. Even when they have a quote-unquote bad game, they still have a good game. Ziploc Bags, Sentinels, HRN, NRG, and Solo Fide rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, Energy again was the one that it looked like they had an advantage on TSM in the middle of that game where it looked like the capabilities to actually remove as they got Aberlily down just couldn't figure it out. So those early kills are coming in handy, an extra 8 points and the 2 placement points. Like that's essentially their game. So again, continue to do that. Continue to play aggressive Energy, and I think you'll find yourself moving up more and more. On the other side, though, a couple other ones that paying attention to, unfortunately. There was 2 teams there. I think one of them was actually Aim Assist, and correct me if I'm wrong on that production, but both Aim Assist and Roof Koreans came in with only 2 players instead of the full 3. Aim Assist finally has their 3rd now. Roof Koreans is still going to stick with only 2 due to not having that 3rd, wherever they may be, but Aim Assist still a 4th place spot with only 2 players. That's a big deal with that placement.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're running in a disadvantaged position and 2, you always end up having to play a little bit more defensive. Hence why we're not going to see a lot of kills being stacked out from these teams in that position. Roof Koreans on the other side of it, not faring quite so well, so you can see the difference between 4th, walking away with 18 points, and 19th, walking away with 0. It's going to, hopefully they're going to be able to pick up their other one. You never know. I guess the internet up on the roof might be a little bit spotty sometimes, so make for a little bit of trouble connecting with your 3rd member, but hopefully they should get them in just a second. Now the question comes into play. Rogue also had a kind of rough game inside that last one, only walking away with 4. Sure, TSM only got 14, but the gap continues to grow.
Yeah, it's a scary one. That's what makes them so good, man, is their consistency, the ability to stay towards the top every single time. As we jump in here to game number 2 on World's Edge of 3, and this is where we kind of see everybody start to settle in and really figure out what they want. Obviously on board with Smile as they were our victors from last game, and their spot over in Overlook, I actually am Overlook is a big fan of mine. I like the diversity and where you can go, whether you want to go low side or high side. But making your positioning out of that and rotating out of that kind of sucks, for lack of better words. It is not a fun time rotating out of Overlook. I keep saying Overlook. I don't know why.
I love this. If you can see, while they're trying to do their drop in, Smile has one constantly looking back behind, trying to get a monitor on where all of the other drops
well,
are going to be.
They're 100% aware of how hard it is to rotate out of this, man. Like, you have to.
That's
and
key,
because
though.
we're
going to be dropping towards edge, though.
My man, give us that passive. Where we at? Where we going? Fragment East, TSM territory. All right.
Ooh, this is going to be rough for a lot of different teams, as if TSM doesn't have to move a ton, they're going to have a lot of control. There are the hills back down towards the south of that position that a lot of teams can try to work with. But don't forget, Epicenter tends to be the center of a lot of attention as well. There's a lot of different cover points and people can hide from those points. So we're going to see a lot of teams have to hit specifically funnel points back over towards the west of Fragment West, where you can see that those walls line up. So teams are going to have to make the choice. Do they rotate through that thin rock cropping that's directly west, or do they maybe make their way back around Harvester and go through thinner choke points as they try to make their way through? Whenever we look at where this, I guess, the Fragment East circle is, it lines up perfectly with so many different terrain pieces that are going to make natural choke points for these teams to have to try to contend with.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking on that northwest side as well. Obviously, you got a team in Train Yard, but I mean, looking at Drill Site and everything else up there by Skyhook too, there's not a whole lot of options. You can either go east Skyhook and then go south towards Fragment, kind of like west of Epicenter, or you kind of get stuck in this weird area where like it's mostly cliffside, and it just creates really bad places. Because anytime those shots come out, there's a team almost always in Fragment West just waiting for you, so they just have easy gatekeep. Unfortunately, here as we saw aim assist already down with one player. So rough early fight for them, as Anime Girls we're on board with here in Lava City. Just kind of waiting for their angles, and Arcstar from nowhere just came out of the sky. And a couple throwables, I guess it looks like, from that dome just north of them.
I makes you wonder what the weather's like in this position. You know, I've heard about having hail or something like that, but Arcstars, that would suck. Also, you notice the fact that even whenever we don't...
Can you imagine a hailstorm of Arcstars and your like car is susceptible? Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Insurance companies would love that one. Imagine trying to file for it. Your car is just like... You can only bring back like tires and a couple like pieces of like maybe your dashboard and be like, Arcstar rain, please fix. It's about as much as you can try to get out of that one, but you can see it's starting to get a little bit heated back over here for Yeet Squad, trying to make sure that they keep an eye on what's going on around them. We do have Anime Girls that's playing up above, trying to get a little bit more information. You can see the high ground advantage positions, but whenever you're trying to make these peaks back around these corners, you have a lot of profile that ends up showing and have to be very careful. Hence why you can see E-Boy Ronnie doing a lot of ducking, trying to see maybe you can kind of keep that profile as low as possible, while still looks like he's trying to keep an eye on as team's starting to spot out a couple other people in rotation next to them. So thinking maybe repositions are coming through. Spile already caught up into a little bit of a long-range skirmish here, taking a couple of shots back and forth. It's pretty long, so unless you see a knock come out, it could be a little bit problematic, but Crummy's going to go ahead and get some shots back over towards the Journal, as well as Minnie getting the shots back over towards Fury.
Yeah, doing a really good job by 303, and I mean, those shots of that sniper handled really well. Obviously, the transparency of that door, so he's using the door as cover, but then making sure that he has the shot lined up. Susie peeks, he lets go of the fire, and then goes back behind cover. So really good usage of the mechanics that you can. Fortunately, not able to land anything, as 303 was able to pop off a couple with the wingman. So we jump on board with Solafide back inside. Obviously well aware of the map. Need to look up top to make sure there's nobody camping up above to apply some damage. This is kind of the Caustic's bread and butter, where people will jump in and all of a sudden you can't get out underneath the doors because there's gas traps in the way. So nobody here, no rats inside, so just able to kind of set up shop. Looks like they're going to put down some Watson fences and kind of just wait it out.
Patience is the virtue right now, just trying to make sure that they spot any teams that are rotating around, hence the dance between door to door, trying to see if they can spot out anything that's going on, any movement to try to feed that back over and work with. They've got pretty good sight lines on just about everything that's moving on around them, except for the wall back behind, so they have to be a little bit cautious on that. MVP finding themselves on the receiving end of a couple of bullets, so going to have to retreat back away from this one. Madness is already down. Back behind it, looks like gonna have to play this one a little bit safe, as it looks like trying to get back over their teammate. Pathfinder, I think, just narrowly made it away from that one, as Ziploc Bags had a good beat over towards it and almost took him down.
Yeah, Goblin almost had a really good shot there on the tail end. I mean, he read it perfectly, and he knows exactly where he is. Even went for the pre-fire, but hit the rock, so trying to apply any damage. And this could be an opportunity where they push both sides. They do get him with an arc star, so he's going to be nice and slow, but just can't land any of his shots with a scout, despite going top side and getting some high ground to put some damage down. But this could be the opportunity, but they just don't want to push out. They don't want to give up this hard cover, And I don't necessarily blame them because you never know who's rotating nearby. So it's going to be Pow Pow with Pathfinder able to rotate out with the teammate. And the teammate ended up taking it well in the last game in MVP. Madness already finding himself down, but they do have him and his banner. So can't get the revive, but it's going to cause a bunch of attention on their team.
Yeah, that's the problem, is they don't have any real good options right now, as a lot of the territory where you would try to go for revives, you have to assume might be already contested with the knowledge Pathfinder can moving where this next circle is going to be at. And oh my god, HRN, that was just lining up beautiful shots there, just being patient and waiting to see if anybody moves forward. Talking about kind of how dangerous it can be to try to get the revive off around Epicenter. You can see it's going to be HRN that's doing a lot of work back over towards the top of this, but they're predominantly looking back over towards Fragment. So there could be an opportunity in Madness's future. It's just going to have to be a very cautious opportunity coming.
Starting to see teams rotate in. It's kind of the general time in that midway through round one of the closing circle. And again, if you guys are here in chat, we greatly appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, you can listen to us. We can provide the perspective of everything that our observers get us, and credit to them. But at the same time, if you guys want to listen to some of these players, their comms, what they're actually going through, it provides a lot of unique insight about how the teams and the pros approach the game. Some of them are streaming, and I highly recommend go support your favorite players if they are doing just that, as it's a good way to possibly up your own game, which, I'll throw some shade here at Twitch chat, many of you could use. So
Well, that, and one of the key things to focus on if you want to improve, especially whenever you're looking at Apex Legends and Battle Royales, is communication. Once you can work down how to call out, once you know how to like relay information quickly to your teammates, that helps the decision-making process. A lot of the times when you see these fights break off so quickly and somebody just takes a couple of shots, very quickly knows what's going on, and then the whole team moves off of it, it's due to crisp, clear comms. It's trying to go as fast as possible.
Pretty shot there from one of the players that's peeking over here at Mini. Mini had a pretty quick peek on that one. He's just jiggle peeking with the door, and in between a shot, he gets immediately dropped and has to back out. So again, needing to be careful. A lot of the time, these extended shots go down and these extended fights happen. You're just giving away positioning, but it looks like Shade's going to give us our next circle for us here with the passive of the Pathfinder, and even more. So Fragment East still in positioning. That's really tough. You can already see how many teams are stacked on top of each other with the different elevation of these buildings. So again, hard cover going to be absolutely crucial here. Expect to see a lot of these teams, if they have that information, start rotating as quickly as possible. But I do fear for the guys on the southeast here in Anime Girls Uwu. They got to go through a lot of traffic to make it, and it's all choke points.
Yeah, you have to know that the opportunity is going to be back over towards the southeast. You're talking about hard cover. Really, there's not going to be a lot that's not already taken. It's about knowing where these dips or potential like high ground locations, somewhere you can kind of carve yourself out, maybe a little bit of a dip so that way people can't take shots at you from long range. This is where one of those circles where map knowledge is going to be absolutely huge for our players, as they know that they're going to be running into a quite small circle, and there's not going to be a lot of options ahead of them. New Brainer's going ahead and get a couple of shots back off on this one. You can see the Broad Shield already coming down. Now we're going to see, are they going to go for the push, or are they just going to go for the reposition? Trying to hop on the rope. Mercy gets dropped off of it, and that was a quick catastrophe that just kicked off a near on a millisecond.
Yeah, really good done by Anime Girls Ooh on the backside. Unfortunately, for Hakulo and the boys for New Brainers, that rotation just put them out of cover. Going up just makes a clear path of, okay, where are you guys going to rotate to? Oh, you're on the rope in the grapple. Simple. So put themselves in a really bad position, but they're being aggressed by yet another team on the back end. So Yeet Squad getting involved as well. Gibraltar ult coming down, the bubble down as well to protect. And it looks like they're going to be able to hold off and fend out for a little bit, but a re-engagement here as they're trying to get a revive here on 6, but need to be careful watching multiple angles. MVP here with Yeet Squad in the wing. Trying to get the revive, should have no issues or difficulty there, but again, sustained fights like that just make it really difficult, especially with all these teams having to rotate across. You're just making a ton of noise for you. The guys that are already there waiting are just excited to see you guys funnel in and they can pick you up.
Yeah, this is going to be all about map control right now. Who has the vision? Looks like Aim Assist is opting to play back over towards the northwest, circle back around and try to make that approach potentially from the north into the next safe zone. That could reward them, as I don't think that the population of teams is quite as high as specifically back over towards the south. The question is, can they make that reposition? As you can see, it's pretty wide open. They've got some rock croppings to work with there. I don't know, words are hard all of a sudden today, but Yeet Squad are going to be trying to do the opposite on this and make their push back over from the south.
Yeah, guys, this is a pretty interesting choice. Obviously, there's a lot of cover that you can go through, but again, with Rogue, and this is, I mean, I've seen Rogue in this position. I don't know how many times that I can count, but again, they play that gatekeep. They're in a big choke point. They're waiting for these guys to funnel through. They'll apply some damage from long range, and then as the guys rotate through, they'll move forward and try to clean it up. The difficulty is Rogue has found themselves in this position numerous times, and after they get the initial kills here, they then are on the receiving end to the players that are already rotated into the main circle, like the TSMs and everybody else. So Rogue needs to be mindful of that, and hopefully it doesn't come to punish them as we jump with Sentinels, who's going to wait for this team to rotate right into their trap.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options if you're coming along this approach. Sentinels has a firm defense up. First couple of shots come through, so you can see instantly relay that information over. Teammates coming in to provide a little bit of support. Looks like it's going to be a little bit of a side reposition as throwables coming out on both sides of this. All about that high ground reposition, but Sentinels have already moved away from that one. Nicely coming in, very aggressive. A lot of damage coming back over towards the team, having to retreat back out of this one just a little bit. They've chosen another target on the hunt, got the close range shots. Quick down coming out of that one. Now making their push back over. It looks like they've got a firm defensive hold, but they have to be careful as the ring's going to be closing in, so they know that they're going to have to be moving here relatively soon, and they've got 2 minutes to finish this one out, but not too far to go.
Yeah, it was a really good play, actually, from Nicewig and the rest of the guys. They use that portal to end up going in really aggressively as he finds another player here. Unfortunately for Synox, needs to be careful and back on out. But again, they just overwhelmed Sentinels. They had a play where two were on the backside, one was on the wide, so they had this kind of layered aggression to where if they had a team push in on them, multiple angles that they're trying to attack from, but it was just overwhelming. Pushed in super aggressive, got in the way, and then from there, it was just nothing they could do. Numbers game, even with the thermals down, or the thermite grenades down on the portal that came in, it did not matter. So, well played there by Nicewig, and crew going to be rewarded for it, but unfortunately for Sentinels, Xenox, the only one available, but still playing aggressive, doesn't have any problems putting some shots down.
Well, it's a matter of decision making. Whenever you choose to take those type of paths, you know the fact that you can find yourself in a disadvantaged position, and that's exactly what happened. Good use coming out of everybody trying to hold the lines right now. Looking back over, you can see that's kind of going to be what the south looks like, and there are a couple of rock croppings to work with, but not a lot. So you're going to be vulnerable from different angles, and you have to be careful with it. Solo Fide is trying to find a nice little angle to work with. Gets a little bit of tap damage in, hits for 47, but doesn't want to overextend this. Keep in mind, his teammates are playing back over in the building right next to him, so it's really just trying to have a secondary angle. So Pride's playing this to get a little bit more control, maybe set up a crossfire as different teams move around them.
Yeah, we've been seeing that from a lot of different teams. I mean, case in point, in the fight we just saw with Sentinels inside, right? That layered aggression I'm talking about, where one's back, and then the two take a different angle of approach. So it's more so just because when people tunnel vision in these initial fights, and they're like, all right, we almost got one, let's focus fire on that guy. And all of a sudden, all this aggression comes from a different angle. It catches you off guard. So again, a lot of these teams taking advantage of that, and it just seems to be common knowledge now here, especially with the more defensive meta. But unfortunate for Root Koreans, going to find themselves on the receiving end, even with Caustic here. Too easy for MVP, they're going to clean it up.
All right, well, it looks like we're starting to get more control back over towards the west, and that's going to be MVP's territory to work with. So with the circle popping back over, they now find themselves with some control, trying to get this position, but finding a little cheeky spot to hide out. It's going to be the last remaining member of the Sentinels trying to reposition back over and through this, but going to run right into a dangerous location, but finds a little cubby, but it's not going to be enough. Another shot going to come out the side to take them down. It's going to be TSM starting to get more control back over towards the middle of the circle. This is their home territory, so they definitely know how to play it. And starting to slowly make their way through. Aware of where the vulnerabilities are, you can see making sure to play back down inside of these trenches for repositioning points.
Really well done here by Imperial Howl. Just immediately recognizing we need high ground, and there's a player down over here with some loot, so can immediately take the portal over there. Ability to reposition. I think that's the big benefit to a lot of these teams is, yes, they know how to spread and do that layered attack that we've been talking about with the different positions, but the teams that do it the best are the ones that use that Wraith portal to allow them both to play both angles based upon where they travel. So Rogue, that team that was gatekeeping a little bit earlier, is going to try to hunt this last player down. I think it was Hacklow, I thought I saw. So trying to get away to the best of their ability, but shots are there and just gone. Snipe down. We talk about wanting 3 of those on complexity. Shows exactly why with that scout.
That was just, he made it look so simple, and that was a pretty complex shot. Through a couple of different train points. I mean, look at it. He was kind of shooting through what was going to be the tram track and a little bit of a wall there. On the other side, you can see it's going to be aim assist. They know the fact that they're going to have to make their way back down towards the southeast in just a second. But they have the high ground to work with, so they've been paying attention to what's been happening around them. They know the points and how they can go. So just making a couple of peeks. And I love the use of the hill there. Aware of the fact that you can just kind of crouch up and down to try to get a little bit more tap damages back over. On the other side of this, it's going to be unknown. They've got themselves defensive barricades set up specifically for the approach back over towards the north, but they have to be careful. They know the fact that there could be a couple of teams that could aggress back over towards them from the south as teams are repositioning.
Yeah, aim assist, that team on the back end side does have a really good angle of approach. The difficulty, though, is the circle does not shift in their favor. So high ground and a couple things of definitely that they can hide behind, but the difficulty is they ended up coming actually in a little bit earlier with a player down. So they were able to get the revive off, and now they're dealing with the Gibraltar as well as Rogue coming in for the other side. So a lot of aggression coming in here. Need to be careful as they back off yet again. Gentrifying, trying to use that Watson ultimate and passive to regen shields while also popping a Phoenix kit. This is where it's going to get dangerous. A lot of teams here, 13 remaining, all having to rotate into a very small angle. So shots playing out makes it really easy for Energy to come sweep through and get one down. As Rocker and the rest actually get some kills down on snipe down on the guys from Rogue. So big pickup here from Energy. Talked about how much this has been going on throughout all the weeks where the big dogs that are coming to play have been removing each other. As Amos is still back on this back end, needing to make a quick rotation here as the circle is going to be pushing in here in just a couple seconds.
Love the control coming out from aim assist. They got the damage off, so they know everybody's been going to be going ahead and going for the medding. So instead, reposition off to the side of this, push back over, looks over, sees the fact that they're going to have the Gibraltar shield up in front of them. Aim assist also on the tail end of this, but NRG starting to get a little bit more aggressive back down behind this. It's going to be North Yo-Yo that does go down. This is usually a fairly defensive location, but look, NRG is just raining death back over onto this angle, trying to get as much as they can, but look at the fact that they're not over pushing this one. They're trying to make sure that they have control. Aim assist is having a little bit of trouble regrouping at this stage. Now just going to have to retreat back away from where they're going to safe zone's going to be at. Gets taken down. Now it's just going to be back over towards Designful, trying to hold the line for his team. Gets a couple of shots off of that, so now just going to have to be chasing after the zone. Has a touch of cover to work with, and look, there's not just loot inside of those. Sometimes you can hide your teammates in them to keep them alive.
Yeah, really well played here, but Designful sitting on the outside, trying to let the damage do most of the work. Able to pick up a couple of kills. Going to be the last one for the team, so needs to play this very careful as a lot of teams going to be fighting down. Still 10 squads left. And TSM doesn't even recognize that there's a player over to their right. So thinking the majority of the players got picked up by that circle. Need to be careful. So a lot of throwables have been coming down, trying to utilize those and save those for the, I guess, remainder of the game if they can. But Designful here, you can kind of see from his angle what he's got around him and just hears all these shots coming out. Player that doesn't get enough credit, I think, is Reps, who's taken quite a bit of damage here, but been absolutely surmountable when it comes to the decision-making he's had, especially towards the tail end of last game, even though it didn't benefit them. So Energy making sure not to get swallowed up by the pressure on the back end here, finds themselves now on low ground and have a really rough rotation to make.
Be careful with it. Should be able to get the res back up to make sure that they are three-man strong moving into the next little section that they're going to have to work with. 30 seconds right now, as you can see, Yeet Squad just bouncing between the crates, gets a little bit more damage off. Good shots coming out from Nicewood. Going to have to play this one a little bit more cautiously, as going to be very big opportunity for third party to come into effect. So you can see constantly keeping the head on the swivel, looking back and forth, running back over, got a little bit of a defensive position to play, but going to have to make a run back over towards the northeast, looking back, trying to find a little bit more high ground to work with. Heat Squad looks like they might finally be opting to start to make their move. They know that they've got 5 seconds before the circle comes back behind them. So many of these teams have not yet made it into the safe zone, and there's near on no cover to work with. So it is going to be a run and gun battle as everybody is starting to make the push over and forward. It looks like Heat Squad's just going to try to run in between multiple squads and try to distract them, maybe try to lure them into fighting each other.
Really well played by Yeet Squad. Sometimes the people that make the decision first are greatly rewarded. Need to be careful though, as TSM on that outside just kind of waiting for them, and Smile there as well. Tons of thermites coming down. We've seen what they can do with that R99 just in a game ago as they put an initial damage down. You can see it ticking away. And now the team's going to have to fight the circle as well. Shots coming out here from Smile and Solafide on the other side. You just see the kill feed lighting up. Teams getting dropped like flies, like the one in your room that you had to do Kung Fu with earlier. TSM in the back end side. Imperial Hell, last one left, trying to get these people rotating through. Going to use his teammate shields on the knock to see if they can hold them off, and just having to defend, trying to do whatever he can as players on multiple angles, and it's just too much. There's nothing he can do as Energy comes in and cleans up.
NRG has been on a roll, and it continues. They are racking up kill after kill as they're making their way into the zone every single time. So now having a little bit of time to try to reset, get their armor back up, get their meds back and repositioned. Well, now having to try to figure out how they're going to approach this next angle. Tons of crates around them to work with right now, but you can see it's going to be Solofide holding down one area. Smile back up and strong, and they've got a ton of shields to work with on the other side of this one. You can see this is the full three-man team, or I should say three teams that are going to be going right now. All of them up and full three-man strong. So here comes a little bit of reposition coming out from NRG. They know that they're going to have to make their way uphill onto this one, trying to get a couple of shots to work with.
Yeah, Energy does still have that Watson ultimate, so not going to have too much time, 25 seconds. I assume as soon as they make this push, they're going to drop it down, and they're actually choosing to aggress high ground and towards where the other team was, so might be able to flank, but could be the problem is NAF is going to have to back out yet again, and that's the benefit of that portal, is if you're in a rough situation, but now Smile on the top side has a lot of opportunity, and I guess it comes down to that third team. Do they want to aggress on this? Do they want to play it passive? What is their approach going to be as of right now? Solofide down and healthy in the underside don't really need to do anything. They just need to sit here and wait for this team to fight out and then play third party, but need to be careful because Smile may push down to where they are, as you can see it happening now, but going to be difficult here as we come into the last circle. Shots coming down from Smile, and otherwise they end up using that portal for the iframes, just going back and forth to buy as much time and install as much as possible, as Energy does have high ground shots coming out, trying to find one as he gets knocked down, and they're going to just set up base here. The shots coming out and removes him completely. Really well played by Nafin.
High ground versus low ground. Full reset coming out from NRG, trying to get their shields back up. Looks like they know where Solofide is hiding at, trying to find the angle to work with. Now it's just throwables. There's a little small corner that you can see that trying to hide on. Got to be very careful with it. A lot of angle and control coming out in NRG's favor. They just have to be very cautious not to overpeak. If they do have one of their members go down, which could happen, but it doesn't look like it's going to have the opportunity to work with, taking the shots off to the side. I love the Gibraltar shield coming in, just taking the peak taps off of it. It is just control. There's nowhere for Solofide to go. They've got the zone back behind them. That was a quick and easy pickup coming up from NRG, and I cannot wait to see how many kills they pick.
No, that's a phenomenal play. You want to talk about how to utilize the Gibraltar and why he's such a meta pick. That's exactly it. You get your portable hard cover. It just drops that down. You get increased heals, and then just sits there, and those corner peaks like you have. Just tapping every once in a while, making sure you reduce the amount of damage. And then the rest of the team, when they feel comfortable, aggresses as well. They don't have to commit if they don't want to, and then it's just overwhelming pressure. So really well done by Energy on the tail end there, as we start to roll through the highlights here in just a sec. But I really want to pay attention to the way that they play that on the top end. So Energy originally was in that side that ended up cleaning up. I think it was TSM that was in that vehicle. So they push in, they end up rotating up with the portal, and they immediately back out. So even though a team up there already knows where they're located, they still have the ability to reassess the situation, take a couple breathers, and then they move up, push yet again, overwhelm, and then they have high ground and close it out perfectly. So Energy, man, we've been talking about, hey, how are you guys going to take these victories? You guys have been middle of the pack for the past couple of weeks. Fantastic finish here to this game, and a lot of it because of the ability to stay calm, cool, collected under all this pressure.
Well, it's just so much dictated control over the game. You can see they were constantly the aggressors, finding new angles to play with, constantly inflicting what damage they could onto every single team, because you have to remember, it's going to slowly and steadily stack up. If you can keep finding the angles, inflicting more and more damage, it eventually gets to a point where most of these teams can't regen it. And then, just like you said, throw down the Gibraltar shield, know the fact that you've got the angle to work with, no cover on the other team at all, and it's just a quick and easy walk forward, and NRG just took that one in with so much dominance, I feel like.
Yeah, another game here where, you know, TSM started trending in the right direction, things are going well, and then they find themselves in that 3, 4, 5 spot yet again. Exact same situation here, because one of the big names, like Rogue, that has shown consistency across the weeks, even though second place overall, has kind of been their nemesis throughout this entire thing. We didn't get to see much Sentinels. They got it removed somewhat early, but a lot of names like Smile, MVP, HRN, we didn't get to see it all from the looks of it. But Smile MVP is still towards the top, and that's what you need. Big performance here to solidify yourself in the top 10. So really well played by those guys as they can try to get these consistent results like you and I talked about at the beginning of the day. You need to show up every single game if you want to move up spots, because if you don't, all it takes is one game for the other team, and they create that separation yet again.
It's about finding some way to scrap together a couple of points whenever you're on full-on damage control. Whenever there's just one person left, can you maybe sneak into the zone? Can you maybe find an angle to get another kill? Pick up every single point you can, because in a lot of these cases, they are pretty close. We were talking about the different tiers of the leaderboard, but whenever we look at each, like in every one of those tiers, it's still very, very close. I do have to say, though, that the way NRG is playing right now and how comfortable they're playing, all things considered, they're very, very quickly just gelling more and more into what they want their play style to be, it feels like.
Talked about it at the beginning of the day, and I'm excited to see how it continues to progress. As we just wrapped up game number 2 here out of our 3 in World's Edge, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, game 3 and our last game here on World's Edge at the GLL Masters Summer for the Americas region. Don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome back everybody to the GLL Masters Summer. Lol here alongside Matcham covering the Americas. Just wrapped up with game number 2 where Energy took the victory after a great rotation topside, and we're able to clean up with the one and only Jibby Bubble. So good peaks from him and able to clean it up. But again, we've been talking more about Energy, and even though they've got this, I guess, newer roster, I guess, you know, remotivated and re-energized after the Dizzy and the Aces and the guys that got a lot of the limelight, but I'm loving the way that they're transitioning. Obviously, they practice and put in a lot of work, but the focus is more so where can they find their footing in tournament play, because the results just haven't been there. And now, 4 weeks in, we're starting to see them get that consistency that we know they're capable of.
I really like the hunter style approach that they're making. Whenever they find themselves and they know that they're going to have to cross a long section to make it into the next safe zone, they're not necessarily a team that runs directly in just trying to get to the safety of the zone. Instead knows that there's going to be a couple of teams that are going to be hiding out, trying to find anybody that they can along the edge and just slowly and steadily take, well, I say slowly and steadily, they were very quick inside that last one, take out everybody inside of it. 17 kills. I told y'all they were fragging out 17 kills. Damn.
That's a third of the lobby, man. That's a third of the lobby. So playing really well here, Energy, and a lot of points to boot, and they need it desperately. I mean, you're talking coming into today, their overall place in the leaderboard is at, if I can even find them, at 9th. So they're tied for 9th/10th. They are the absolute last spot to guarantee a place into the grand finals 2 weeks from now. So need some big performances. That is a great way to do it. 58 points are going to jump them up so much compared to some of these other teams. And again, TSM, as always, finding themselves towards the top. But with that said, this is the leaderboards for the Alpha Division, the top 20 out of our 40 total. And Energy doing just that, keeping them at the very top with consistent performances. But you can't just get away at TSM that easily. Showing up in 4th, again, with 2 kind of, I guess, average results for them, which is still like top 5.
Yeah, NRG got most of their kills inside that last one, 4 in the round beforehand, as we're going to be moving into game number 3. Smile, Scylla, Fide making their presence known after the fact that they had a little bit of trouble the week beforehand, having to go back down towards B lobby, but good to see them performing coming in through here. TSM back behind that with 36, Aim Assist tying that one up. MVP, Yeet Squad, HRN, Unknown, and Ziploc Bags round out our top 10 for the day so far. 2 names that are kind of surprising, though, are Rogue and Team Sentinels at 11th and 12th, respectively.
Yeah, even more so. I mean, you want to go down even further. Team Liquid, a team right now in the overall leaderboards in 7th. So not having the best results so far. 2 games in already here. This is going to be our 3rd and final as the game and the lobby is starting to get underway. But, I mean, you're talking for these guys. I mean, still 4 matches to go. We're just approaching halfway. A lot of time to kind of make it back up. But, again, they still need to have consistent performances like you're seeing the MVPs and the TSMs and the HRNs have to even be considered to be in that top 10. It's a really big deal because all it takes, like we saw with Energy, you know, 50-some points in one game, that's the swing you're looking for. So doing a really good job here. So looking forward to it and seeing how this all plays out. But let's get into the drop, get and see where these guys go. Obviously, we're going to jump on with our leaders of last game in NRG and go into the tried and true. So excited to see how they end up playing this one. I think the biggest thing that we always pay attention to, obviously, is the circle when we get that Pathfinder passive to show us where the next zone is going to be. Make a prediction for me, Matchroom. Where are we going? We've seen a ton of thermal station. So
I was gonna say that's the easy one, right?
Yeah, so hopefully we get something else here.
Well, I mean, we haven't necessarily seen a lot of Epicenter be the big focus. We keep going back over that direction, but not seeing a lot of Epicenter itself. Wouldn't be sad if we see something go that direction. I just want to see another big performance coming out of NRG. Apparently, if they have to chase the zone, it pays off huge for them. This is going to be our last game for the day on World's Edge before we make our way back over towards Kings Canyon. Circle looks like it's going to pop, and it looks like it's going to be back down towards the southeast from this position, so I don't think it's going to be Epicenter. So we'll have to wait and see where that one goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one here. Energy, nobody challenging them too heavily here. Not surprising. Not too many people want to get into Skyhook as kind of a scary situation. And back over to where we were. So overlook.
Did you like the last game?
Yeah, did you like it? We're going to get it again.
Yeah. Right in the middle of it is kind of where we were seeing the end of our last game. So a lot of our team's going to have to reposition back around this specifically. We talked about it last time. Be wary of the teams rotating from the south because there's not a lot of options, but at least back over towards the west and the north, there's going to be a little bit more open as it's not going to be right up against those walls for the first circle.
Yep, TSM going to be sitting there in fragments. No issues for them. Just kind of looking at how quickly some of these teams are going to rotate or not. I think you can look at, I think it's Rogue that's usually Mirage Voyage. So spreading out pretty heavily. We got two teams on top of each other already on the southeast side of Fragments. So could see some early aggression. It's actually Team Liquid here just outside of the pathway that leads to Geyser. So need to be careful. They are spread out quite a bit.
They have multiple advantages that they can use with this based on how they're sitting right now. But so much has gone back over towards Flanker's position. He has to be very careful. See, trying to find something with the Sentinel right now, but not getting to work just quite yet. But looks like he's going to have at least an opportunity to go regroup with his teammates as they're going to go ahead and opt into the full-on pack mentality instead of going for secondary shots on multiple angles. Instead, just say, okay, we don't have enough information quite yet to know where everybody's going to be coming from, so let's just regroup and get ourselves back together and figure out how we're going to approach what's going to be coming at us.
Yeah, 303 is the team that's surrounded by Team Liquid here, so don't really want to aggress. They're just trying to loot up at this point, you know? You don't want to take anything too risky. You don't want to find yourself on the receiving end, as we've seen quite a few teams actually already here in the Americas get dropped down early. And it hasn't even been to like ego challenges or people just trying to contest the same spot another team lands. So it'll be interesting to see what it plays out as these guys are just outside where our last circle ended. Going to rotate the high ground top side as TSM kind of rotating through as well, trying to create some attention as Petty Boss actually ends up dropping down Aberlelli. So big fragger dropped down for TSM as they're getting a lot of aggression put towards their way. Need to be careful as it looks like Rep's going to rotate a wide.
You can see good position coming up from Smile, going to force the other two members of TSM away from that position. Not a lot that they can really do. They had to back off to go ahead and get their shields back up before they made that approach. So now instead going to go down, flush that one out, get a little bit of loot to work with, and maybe even kind of sit around trying to keep an eye and see if they can keep control over the box, because I don't believe that we saw TSM capable of going and picking up yet.
Big shots coming out from Mini, able to land a couple, make that triple. Doing well with that poke from the triple take from far. One of my favorite actually to use, especially when you have the attachment along with it. But just there to apply some poke and drop down. The ultimate, obviously, with the cooldown, should be a free way to get back some of those shields, trying to utilize that utility wherever they can. So HRN, teamed up. HRN's been kind of quiet today, man.
Yeah, I mean, they've been getting points, but it's just not like towards the end game or in super, like, I guess, visually spectacular ways, and they're just being consistent. There's no harm in that. You don't always have to go for the flashy plays. Sometimes just catching somebody inside rotation, getting the knock, and flushing out. Hey, play style approaches all depends. There's a certain point where you have to play flashy, and that's going to be the end game. But if you're capable of picking up a lot of points, specifically in the mid game, just picking up a kill here or there, that can give you the consistency that you really need as well.
I mean, I'm definitely not a pro, obviously, hence talking rather than playing. But W key is the way to go. Always, in my opinion, due to the bias of wanting action all the time. So that probably
caster,
not the best.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, not the best strategy, but you know.
Well, Wraith One Tricks agree with that. If you're going to name yourself Wraith One Tricks, I mean that means the fact that you like the W key right there. Shout out to Teen9999 for being the one true Wraith One Trick inside of all of the Wraith One Tricks, being the one that can actually walk away playing Wraith.
Trickiest of Wraiths here on Teen. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about in the mid game on a serious note, you know, just trying to pick up the stragglers that they can, and they do just that. So securing 2 points, nothing too crazy is unknown on the top east side here, just outside of Overlook. Shots are actually raining down too, so need to be careful. I think that's where Liquid in the 303 and everybody else was kind of area. We also saw a team that won our first game. That is their drop spot too, so probably in the area as well. But luckily for them, they do have quite a bit of cover to work with, whether they want to go high ground or low. TSM also rotating over there very early on, something that they've done well. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get Aberlele back. 60 seconds here to do so, but a lot of teams in the area.
They look like they want it, but they don't know exactly if they're willing to pay the cost just quite yet.
I think Hell might be able to do it with that, that portal and the phase shift. It's just so risky.
It's going to be close. He's got the portal maybe in time. Hard to say off that. Actually, I don't know if it's going to gen up in time. It's going to be close if it is. So he's going to have to figure out how he wants to do that. Remember, we still have the team. It's possible, but it could be hazardous because you can get there and then you have to figure out how you're going to make yourself back. Because that's the problem whenever you commit to going for it. Team Liquid still holding up back on the high ground. Well, 2 of them are anyway. They got themselves a lot of vision to work with and instead just going to go ahead and retreat off. This is going to get a little bit hot. Looks like I'm drawing a lot of attention off of those shots that they took just a second ago.
Yeah, good choice by Team Liquid. Obviously, a little bit of a challenge here, but just trying to find some loot. Not a whole lot of pressure. Obviously, I think for Nocturnal right now, he's just looking for shield cells. And there's the portal, so weren't able to get Aberlele.
Well, now what are they committing back over to? Looks like a little bit of vengeance instead. Gonna walk right up, take a quick shot, retreat back away from it. Gonna go ahead and go for a couple of taps off to the side. Has to retreat from the frag grenade. Knows the fact that the reposition could come through. Instead, takes the portal back and away from this one. Knows the aggression could be slightly problematic. Instead, going ahead and trying to get around the side of this. They've got aggression on 2 different fronts. Now they have to be extremely cautious with this, as I believe it's going to be Smile that's looking back towards the direction off of 1 point.
Yeah, TSM needing to be extremely careful here, and that was the dangerous part you talked about. Obviously trying to get Aberlele back in, not able to do that, so they're trying to rotate to a different position, but little to find out that there is people in every single hardcover on the way. So you saw him as he came back in, decides to pop out, uses the Mastiff, doesn't able to land it. So at this point, hasn't been dropped just yet, according to the kill feed. As Smile and the rest, Team Liquid and everybody else just kind of sitting in the outside. And that's kind of the scary thing for both these teams. MVP's got the high ground up top, and they've got Liquid over to the right. They've got, you know, another team just to their north, and then TSM somewhere as the last player in that area too. So also with the kill feed, you're starting to see snipe down on the guys from Rogue taking some aggression.
MVP still calling back out to where Team Liquid was previously. Looks like we're going to see snipe down. We talked about just a second ago go down as Rogue is trying to reposition out and away from this one. The banner's back behind them, back over next to what was going to be a respawn point. So instead just going to have to leave that one behind. They're quite a ways away. They could potentially go back for it, but that could be a little bit too hazardous given the play and the position. I wouldn't be surprised if instead they just maybe lock down, try to find themselves a new comfort position to play from.
Yeah, a lot of these high point teams under a lot of pressure already. And it's credit to go. I mean, these guys, you know, kind of that middle of the pack, the MVPs and stuff, are really applying the pressure well, and that's what you need. Is I think they're starting to get more confident. They also realize, like, there's not much more wiggle room. We need to make sure we have consistent results, because if we don't, we're going to get bumped out of the top 10. So, again, Hal, 2 of his teammates gone. Last one remaining is going to just have to play that kind of wait-and-see approach. Doesn't want to really aggress too heavily, but only take fights when he absolutely needs to. Maybe catch some people rotating in for some kills, but at this point, just going for placement.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a good position right now. TSM looked like they were playing a little bit more aggressive off of it, given their lead. That's no surprise. No harm to it, really. I know TSM fans are going to be like, but they lost 2. They still have like a 110-point lead, guys. It'll be fine. They can have a little bit of fun and play this one aggressive if they want to. Unknown looks like they're trying to get a little bit more information to function around right now. They do have a nice high ground point. They can get a lot of vantaged information from. Currently playing off on one side of it. The other, you can see it's going to be a little bit of bounce between back. You can see where Blur is playing. Matt Pickett's playing off the other side of it, but they've got themselves a nice little cubby that they can kind of play with. Watch everybody that rotates specifically back over towards the west. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of our teams coming back and along that angle, but most of our teams are probably going to be approaching more from like a southern western position specifically. So that means our teams that are playing back over towards the east or specifically towards the north are going to have a little bit more control and area to work with.
Yeah, a little bit more quiet here in the 3rd and final game on World's Edge. I think it's just due to the placement of that circle. I mean, that big shift is a lot of open area. I mean, yes, there's some hard cover and stuff, but it's just you have so many players that rotate from the outside and the outer wings that it's just a little bit slower of a game. I mean, World's Edge in general as a map is much larger, so a little bit slower here, looking a little bit more like EMEA region, but nothing wrong with that because that just means a ton of action as we get into the next circle here. As round 2 starting to close here in the next 45 seconds.
There's not a lot of what I call convenient cover to work with whenever you start looking your way back over towards the zone itself. Instead, you're going to see Rogue just opt into playing right along the edge and should be pretty safe unless anybody approaches back over towards it. But whenever you look back towards the circle itself, there's a lot of, I guess, dangerous points you can kind of see specifically towards the middle of it. It's pretty open. Sure, there's hills, there's kind of like little ravines that you can find yourself to work in, but there's not quote-unquote building hard cover like we would see in the other spots. A lot of it's already been claimed out. So our teams are kind of clinging to different points that they can find to work with. Once the circle condenses down and we find out where the new zone is going to go to, that's going to be the catalyst for the firefight, especially if it goes back over like maybe a little bit southeast of epicenter and stays pretty close towards the center. That's going to be where a lot of the fights are going to happen. Well, New Brainers finds themselves, well, it's not going to be Arc Star Rain. It's a rain in and of its own, but do manage to survive through it just fine.
Yeah, you got New Brainers here, and then there's 2 more teams over to their north. Need to be careful as Rogue is on the bottom side too. They just got spotted out, so 4 teams in this area about to engage on each other. Team from the top half trying to take the rain. New Brainers obviously got hit with that Gibraltar ult, but good shots coming down from Hackler. Is going to have to back off and use that shield battery. Difficulty now is with the Gibraltar. That shield obviously on cooldown, so trying to probably sustain this fight a little bit longer. They do have the Watson ultimate down as well. And a minute 45 to work with, trying to check the flank, just making sure nobody's there. They want these other teams to engage each other, but the difficulty here is New Brainers, they either need to make a wide rotation or they have to play it aggressive, because if they don't, they're caught on the rotation either way.
Well, they are on the thin side of the circle, so that means that they get a little bit more space to work with, a little bit more time, so they don't have to be hyper-aggressive just quite yet. Instead, you're going to move to a new position, try to reinforce that one just a touch, and try to use the hill to provide a little bit more cover to work with. Maybe flank around the flankers that were trying to come after them, but Rocker takes a little bit too much damage and says, okay, well, we know where they're at, but let's be a little bit more cautious with it. New Brainers still just trying to hold down off of this point. Has to be very careful as they have lost a little bit of the high ground control. Have to be careful off of their peak, so that's why you see them taking a shot and then repositioning back around it. They don't want to risk overextending into this.
Yeah, if they peek too hard, it just makes it a little bit too easy for the teammates, because we've seen the cycle of rotation of how shots happen. First guy peeks, puts some damage down, next guy comes in, and that continuous pressure just makes it very difficult. As a big Gibraltar ult, not going to be able to defend against this one because the Gibraltar bubble is down, as well as the Watson is off over to the side. So trying to rotate back into their kind of safe spot as that passive coming into play, trying to get those shields back. But 35 seconds remaining here before we see an automatic engage, and looks like they're going to rotate a little bit wide, but need to be careful. There is a team down here.
I like the idea on this. Try to use this for cover, see if maybe you can get some more vision out and away. Get a couple of shots back over on the low point on this. Looking back down, they have a lot of control off of it, but they have to be careful. Third parties going to rein in the damage, and now the reposition's coming back over. Are they going to choose to aggress onto this one? They know that the zone is going to be coming in, so they have to be extremely cautious with it. Instead, it's going to be Frex off to the side of it. NRG coming up, getting the shots onto him. Have to be very, very cautious. The Gibraltar shield is going to come through, but there's not a lot of time to work with. Again, they are on kind of the shorter end of the circle, so they don't have to move as fast as the guys back down towards the south, but NRG is starting to find a little bit more comfort in their position.
And the kill feed as well, protectful, and the guys from Shiny Muffin's able to drop down Rogue Sweet, so that leaves only one remaining as Snipe Down is gone as well. But NRG's decision making here was absolutely perfect. Just waiting for that opportune moment. You know, as soon as they hear the engagement go down, they immediately aggress on the top side, and a ton of damage coming here from Frex. So doing a really good job here. Enemy Guru's in the area as well, just trying to just sustain this fight as much as possible. Need to be careful. Tricky gonna get popped down on the edge of the circle. NRG just sitting here waiting for that last player, and it's gonna be a wingman to the head that drops him down.
All right, now it's about moving up and forward. They're pretty close to the zone, so don't have to worry too much. They're going to go ahead and get their res back off, moving into 3 people strong. Get their meds back up. Gotta be careful. Bring's coming in. It's going to tick for a decent amount of damage, but you should be able to get away from it. Enemy girls, trying to come up back behind this one. Do manage to take down Rocker, but have to be careful off of it. Starting to make their push over and forward. Waz has the high ground, but he's got some company. Instantly gets dropped. Now it's just going to be M Shade off to the side of it. He's just kind of hunkered down. He's got himself a little cubby to play with, but every single time he peeks up, he could find himself in a very dangerous point. Surprised he doesn't go for the flush off to the side of it, but he's got another angle to play with, and right now it's going to be the traps that are providing some form of cover, trying to take a couple of shots to work with, and it's going to have a little bit of information getting fed back over as just lose a teammate right up in front of him. But hey, look, you know, go ahead and get that one.
Yeah, rough situation, and no matter where he was peeking from, he was getting shot from every angle. His energy as well in that fight. Ended up losing 2 of his teammates, but should be able to pick up the beacons, but need to be careful. Probably just going to take what he can to stay surviving. And, I mean, you just see the ability to understand the situation he's in. Immediately pulls the shield, gets the full health, drops another one on the ground so he doesn't have to dig through the box in case he needs it here on the back end, but has a pretty good opportunity here. There is a revive station right near there. So, depending on how he wants to play this, he might be able to use his portal and pick up the teammate and actually deliver. 50 seconds to work with. Curious to see on how Nafin's going to play this.
Gonna play it pretty carefully. He knows the fact that he's going to be moving into a very dangerous spot. 32 people still alive. Shift goes way back over towards the east. Overlook looks like it's going to be our home, but you can see a lot of teams already fortified in. So not a lot of options to work with. It's going to be very dangerous to move through quite a bit of open territory to try to make his way back over there. Meanwhile, Unknown, much closer towards the zone, but back over towards the north. You can see them sweeping through, trying to see if they can get a little bit more information, playing the rock croppings, so maybe they can spot out anything that's going on. Take a throwable. You'll never know what you get out of it.
Yeah, plus all those fences. It's a good place to have high ground and everything else along with it. So through the Gibraltar ult, see if it ends up playing out. Matt actually ended up getting dropped at the same time, so I'm going to drop that bubble down and pick him back up. 3-man still strong, but needs to heal up. Could be dangerous here as they drop down the Phoenix kit, making sure to utilize everything they can. And here comes the circle. We're going to force a lot of fights here momentarily.
Trying to fight against the high ground. Hits a little bit of damage to work with, but you can see just kind of clinging to what cover they can right now. Going for the reposition off of this. They got themselves a low point to play, but a little bit of aggression off the side of it. Has to reposition. Instead, trying to make their way over. Good spray coming out very quick off of this. Blur retreating back around, trying to see if the aggression's coming from the other side. Going to try to step away from the frag grenades that are getting thrown in front of him. Not going to connect for a lot of damage, but has to be careful. 2 different points of aggression. You have to take your pick. Look off to the left. You're going to get shot from the other side. So now it's just a peek back and forth. Blur low on shields right now. Hasn't had time to get him back up. Doesn't want to opt into going for it because it doesn't know when the aggression's going to come. Now, finally starting to feel a little bit more settled with this as the fights have been happening around him now, saying, okay, maybe this might be my opportunity as Crummy's managed to get up his shields just a touch, rotate this one out, and yes, Blur's finally going to get himself a second to breathe.
The way they're actually playing this is so Crummy was low, and the benefit of having that thermal scope is the ability to actually look past those portals too to see if there's anybody there. So, well, one is healing, the other one, again, providing that cover, having that trust that player can fend it off, and then the communication if it ends up not playing out. So, doing a really good job there to buy time for the teammate to heal up as we jump on board with aim assist who's up top. They did just see a Wraith portal and a Wraith kind of just flying through here, just buying some time with those iframes, and when they came up to see if there was a safe place to drop it, ran into a full team of aim assist, so drops right back down. So looks like it is Yeet Squad who's right below who dropped that portal, and maybe it wasn't a portal, it was actually just a phase shift. So still in the back pocket, some mobility to use here, but need to be careful.
Looks like it might be the commitment coming through. Yeet Squad starting to play this one up and forward. Just jumps right into the action. Getting off a ton to start this one off. Aim Assist has got a lot of control towards the top, though, and says, no, 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 no. There was no good options to really work with, so Six and the rest of the crew just had to make the jump up. But Aim Assist was waiting. That was a trap to be sprung the moment
they played that so well, too. That first player, I think when they came out, they actually didn't shoot at, so it baited the rest of the team. They're like, okay, don't shoot the first one. First one comes out, they're like, oh, yeah, it's safe. We didn't get attacked. So the rest join in, and then as soon as that commitment happens, the rest of the team just comes in and just absolutely levels the team. As shots coming out here from Smile, even with the arc start, does not matter. Petty Boss able to remove some of these players on the other side. You see Pop-Out taken out simply, so need to be careful. Shots coming out left and side. 6 squads remaining here as the circle starts to push them all in yet again. As Petty just trying to find a good shield, does find a blue in here as he kind of just scavenges through anything he can find. As we get down, shots coming in, Arcstar and the rest of the players on the back end. Need to be careful. Petty Boss getting absolutely leveled on the back end as well. So trades back and forth, trying to find some sort of cover where he can heal. And right next to the Watson's going to be there. A team that we haven't seen actually in a while. Team Liquid still up top, still picking from the top side, just doing whatever they can to play cleanup as they need big performances.
4 teams left right now, 12 alive. Team Liquid has infinite high ground to work with, but are going to have one of their members go down. Luckily, there's a Wraith portal to go ahead and second back up to a little bit of safety, but not going to work out. It's going to be the Sentinels using the Pathfinder. Crust just pops up there, says, no, I'm going to make sure to secure this one. So now it's starting to become a low ground versus high ground duel as Sentinels playing off on one point of it. Got a little bit of control to work with. Smile still has a lot of vision, trying to make sure that they deny what utility they can from the teams around them. Circle is going to go back over towards the other side of Overlook, so going to have to be a little bit cautious off of it. While they have firm defense right now, Smile is going to have to move, and there's there's a lot of cover to work with, but got to be careful. Every single peek has somebody waiting to take those shots off to the side of it. Petty Boss trying to go for the outside angle, already sitting on 5 kills right now, and he is just raining death on anybody that peeks in.
You can just see what the R99 can do and why it's a favorite of these players. I just suck too much to use it and whiff every shot, but when they land, absolutely lethal as it comes out. Sentinels on the back end there, on the receiving end, some of that, but looks like they're all healed up, ready to go. It's still got Team Liquid up top on the side too, so between the 3 teams, we've got 4 remaining, though only 1 that I don't know about. But it's going to be difficult as we get here. The last 7 seconds ticking down on round 6. Going to make these guys get nice, close, and personal. Looks like it is Aim Assist is the last team on the outside, just kind of waiting next to Smile. Just trying to peek everywhere they can, just find any information, and here it comes. Team's going to be forced out of the area. The circle moving nice and fast. And what an angle here from Gentrifying.
That is absolutely cruel. They don't even know what's happening to him right now. Getting shot from the sneakiest of peak angles right there. Gonna go ahead and shift us down to 3 teams. Got to be cautious off of it. Amos is still looking back over towards the high ground. They know that there's the kings of those little oil derricks or whatever you want to call them. It's gonna be Team Liquid that's been hanging out there for quite a while, going for every single peak. You can see they're starting to get a little bit more control over this territory. So you see how the aggression comes through. Sentinel still playing back off at this point. They've got the low ground. They're the guys that are on the other end of these peaks. They've got to be careful. Once you start seeing these 2 teams start to interact, the third one can become such an influencing factor, especially when they have high ground control.
Sentinels on the backside. Team Liquid up top. Still got Gentrifying the boys on the other side with Aim Assist. Final 3 squads remaining. Just waiting to see who's going to peak first. Who's going to be forced to make the move. Whole lot going on. Team Liquid just buying their time. Casper up top of the wingman. Doesn't need to force really anything here.
Ooh,
but trying to place this grapple across, allowing them to go back and forth on this final circle. A lot of teams are going to just kind of jump back and forth on that zip line to make sure that they stay high. Shots going over from Aim Assist on the right-hand side. They get right below Team Liquid, so Liquid doesn't have an angle anymore.
Look at the way Aim Assist is playing the terrain. They find every single little sneaky angle that they can work with, and they are just capitalizing off of it. They're just taking on so much damage on everybody around them. They just creep up, find some new sneaky spot, rip a teammate apart, and then retreat off of it. It's guerrilla tactics being used right now. Sentinels are just trying to bunker down. They're trying to use anything that Gibraltar can provide to create some type of castle, but it's constantly coming their way. Finally, they're hitting the shots, starting to inflict enough damage to slow down Aim Assist. Up towards the top of it, Team Liquid starting to also look back down onto it. Sentinels have the control, but they can't peek out. They're afraid of how Liquid will be playing with them. So instead, it's Team Liquid that's got a lot of control. They've got their bouncy rope to move back and forth. If the fight breaks out between the 2 teams below them, they can just spin over on top of them and get so much work put into it.
There you see Gentrifying trying to use that portal at the absolute last second. He's going to hold on and then use that shift. So by moving on and using the iframes here, it's going to provide a lot of different angles to work with as the Gibraltar ult comes down. Shots coming out from Sentinels. Sentinels trying to play on the backside. Looks like Team Liquid still holding off until finally Cross comes, jumps down, absolutely lasers the Pathfinder, but it doesn't matter. Trying to see if he can get the last couple shots down, and it's going to be Team Liquid having the high ground to drop it down and getting the victory. Well played on the hold off. Congrats to Team Liquid on the top dogs here in the last game of World's Edge.
Oh my god, there was so much to unpack inside of that one. Team Liquid, they just held, I think they were there from like near on the beginning of the game, if I remember correctly. They were just watching everybody rotate. They had so much information. They knew when to move, and then Sentinels moved in down below them and was just kind of like their foothill defenders. And they were like, all right, Sentinels, you take care of anything that gets too close, and we'll take care of anything that gets like tries to come over here from far distant.
Dude, it just goes to show why you shouldn't W key, you know? It's like an exact reason. Like, they're sitting up top, staying patient, waiting for this to play out. And that high ground, I mean, it's a tough one. You hear all those shots going down, too, right below, and you're like, oh, yeah, great third party, we can definitely do this. But because they were up there for so long, they don't really have the gear to really handle it. So, credit, I guess, to Gentrifying and the guys. Some of those angles on those peaks, man, are the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And for that team, they got in between those 2 crates. I forget who was on the outside. I think it was Smile that just got lasered out. I would be so frustrated. If I go back and watch the VOD and see that, I'd be like, what am I supposed to do against that? There's literally nothing.
How dare me have feet? That's essentially what caused your death there. You walked next to a crate and somebody spotted out your toes. And what would be like the most deadly version of like, is it Little Piggies, I guess is the best way to say it there?
Mixture of that and like just man. Yeah. Hiding under the bed, man. Tickling the toes. Terrible. You hate to see it. Smile played it really well too. I'm not sure when TSM got knocked out there too. They were the one that had the last player available, I think, in Imperial Hal on that building. So he got caught on the rotation. This is that peak we're talking about where it's just a little bit of a spacing there to just absolutely destroy that entire team rotating in. And then does another angle here for gentrifying. He does it twice, and then this last fight, so much going on. Basically, it was Sentinels and Smile that created that engagement, and then Team Liquid just kind of picked apart. There was somebody that put that shot down with that Pathfinder that just absolutely destroyed one of those players. It was like 140-ish damage. So again, landing the shots in that last circle, absolutely crucial in that close range, and then able to clean it up as they fought each other. So really well played. The patience game benefiting them altogether. But guys, 3 matches in, we're halfway through our day. That is it for World's Edge. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we'll update you guys with the leaderboards, the scores, everything going on, and then we'll get into the second half here on Kings Canyon. Don't go anywhere. This is GLL Masters Summer for the Americas region. Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer for the Americas region. We're here week 4, kind of getting ready for our grand finals coming up. Lawler alongside Match, I'm calling all the action. We just got and approached our halftime mark. All the way done with World's Edge, going to be moving into Kings Canyon, but before we do that, we've got some stuff to update you guys. If we want to take a look at the scoreboard here to kind of show you guys what's been playing out, this is where we're at right now. So last match that we saw, Team Liquid playing a little bit of that passive game and getting rewarded heavily for it here, Matchroom.
10 kills, 24 placement points, going to give them a total of 44 points inside that last round. But aim assist I found to be super impressive inside that last round, and we need to keep our eyes on them, specifically when we're talking about the top 10s, because as we're making our way forward, every single point that we can see same aim assist picking up is going to be big, because we kind of have a little mini duel that's going on between aim assist and Superior over in Bravo.
Yeah, going to be a tough one here. Obviously, the things we're paying attention to is the top 10 overall. So across all the weeks, whoever has the most total points across everything are the ones that are going to find themselves guaranteed into the final. So well played by them, getting that big win that they need as they found themselves 7th overall coming into today. As we take a look now at the leaderboards and kind of showing you guys how things have been playing out here. This is how it's been after week 4 all the way up until match 21. So this is from this weekend alone, and you can see Smile has been having those consistent results. Same thing with NRG. So big performances there and a good chance to kind of move up in that overall total.
I know a lot of people are looking back down at TSM and 6 for the day. Don't worry, they're still perfectly fine. Back behind them, you can see that we're going to have Sentinel, Solo Fide, Yeet Squad, unknown. TSM is in a very comfortable position up towards top. Rogue was kind of the team that was chasing after them, but you can see only sitting on 18 points so far. So really trying to shift our conversation a little bit towards the top 10 a little bit more and how that's going to be stacking up. Because whenever we look at our top 10 on the overall leaderboard, that's going to be the key factor on who gets to skip next week. Because I can see you guys in chat keep talking about it. They're like, I don't understand. It's really easy. We've got 2 different lobbies. So grand total of 40 teams, right? The top 10 out of all the points combined between both of those lobbies go on to the grand final. Then 11 through 30 fight it out, and the top 10 go on to the final as well. And then we have our final. Easy peasy. Now we're taking a quick look back over on what's going on with Bravo.
Right, so we're looking at the leaderboard for the Alpha Division. Here's the Bravo Division. The benefit of Alpha is they do get double points, but just because you drop to Bravo doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity. Case in point, Free Smoke in first place, 63 points, and we still have 3 games to go. So a really big opportunity for them to jump ahead in those overall leaderboards. I mean, you're talking right now, Free Smoke is coming into today at, if I can even find them, we're at 20. So I mean they're a little bit further down, but the ability to jump up and take a really big attempt alongside with like aim assist and all these other guys is definitely there. This is the total leaderboard. So you guys can see on the left hand side where it's highlighted in red where it says grand finals. If you find yourself out of all 40 teams in the top 10 at the end of today, you get a guaranteed spot into the grand final. So that's a big deal. It's a really important situation. And even with some players like TSM where they came in with a huge lead, yeah, they're not performing, I guess, the best today, but they still find themselves in first place because they found such a lead. So again,
well, here's the
a
thing.
lot of opportunities for a lot of players.
Look down at 10th. Team Superior is in Bravo. So that means the fact that they are not getting double points. Meanwhile, aim assist, we saw them have a phenomenal last round. Only 3 points back behind Superior. Behind them, you can see it's going to be HRN, Sola Fide, all within touching distance of getting that 10th spot. You can see there's a pretty, I guess, decent jump up into I Shiny Muffins Protectful after that. So really, it's going to be very contested to see who can get that 10th place position, as right now, Aim Assist and Team Superior are back and forth for it.
Now, it does say on the right-hand side in gray where it says last chance. Next week is going to be a little bit different. We're going to take those other teams, and they're going to have kind of that last attempt to play it out and see if they can make it into the final 10 that round out the rest of our top 20. So, again, a lot of things on the line as we look down here at the bottom, 20, 21 through 40. And again, case in point, Free Smoke we just saw have 60-some points. That still applies to a lot of these other teams. Even though they are down in the lower side, there's still plenty of opportunities for them to kind of step up and make a name for themselves as they try to move forward here. So again, anybody's game still, nobody is out of it just yet. We're going to do our best to make sure we update you guys towards the end of the day as well to kind of see the overall results, just so you guys know what's going into the next week. But again, let's shift the focus now back in towards our matches for today. So halfway through the games, like we said, we are done with World's Edge. We're going to be moving over to Kings Canyon, something I'm a little bit more biased to. It's a little bit more intimate of a map, a little bit more aggression, a lot of faster pace. And as casters, we always want to see the high-flying action. So that is what is going to be wrapping up our last 3 games of the day. And at this point, I think it's still open. Energy, obviously, is transitioning into a really good spot, and a couple of these other teams. But the big one that we've been seeing recently promote that's been kind of struggling is Roof Koreans. They've only been playing with 2 of their players, so hopefully they get the full squad and are able to move forward. But as of late, they've been struggling.
And they're in 31st. We talk about the fact that everybody still has a chance. Well, our top 10 advance on automatically the grand finals, and 11 through 30 have to fight it out. The bottom 10 find themselves eliminated, so they have got to have a good day today. They have an opportunity. A lot of these teams still have 3 maps. They can catch up to move into that section to where they can be inside of the top 30. It's just, you can't drop any more from here on out.
No, it's a tough one, and it's obviously cutthroat, but a benefit of performing consistently. So what we want to say is, like, yes, you had a good week, but how can you perform well week after week, as we're 4 weeks in now, halfway through? So again, there's a lot on the line here. $100,000 that these guys are fighting for. The team that takes first overall in the grand finals get $15,000. So a lot of money up for grabs for a lot of these players, and for a lot of players that are testing out some of these older new metas, trying to find their kind of footing as they move forward. And a lot of people have resorted back to the tried and true, the defensive, the Watson, the Gibraltars, the, you know, forget this crypto and this really aggressive like EMP push and everything. The coordination on it is fantastic when it works, but man, is it hard to pull off. We did get to see, though, last week TSM swap to that in the middle because they had such a lead, and it ended up keeping them kind of middle of the pack again. So maybe we'll get some more of that here, but who knows?
Well, also it can depend on map to a certain degree as well.
Yeah.
So whenever you're looking, as we make our way over towards Kings Canyon, it can be a little bit more aggressive and enable you to make some different pushes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of legend selection come out varying on different maps as we progress.
Can't wait to find out what it's going to be. I mean, early kind of notes that I want to take on, obviously, Kings Canyon. In the past, we've seen some teams that have struggled earlier on World's Edge really break out on the tail end. I don't know what it is, if it's just the new map, the new mentality that comes into it, getting a little bit more of an extended break, but something that allows them to kind of clear the heads and move in with that kind of aggressive playstyle. Some teams also recognize kind of the, okay, this is what we've been getting beat by game after game, because as you get eliminated early, you are able to just sit and spectate and watch. So we start to see a little bit more early rotations, which then couples with the aggression, and it just makes it all the better for us as viewers and people that are trying to enjoy the entertainment. So all in all, big fan of these second maps here coming out as we get down to the final 3. We're just waiting for everybody to kind of get into the lobbies and load up before we jump into the action, but should be starting here relatively soon. And we appreciate you guys all being here. Also, shout outs to the guys behind the scenes putting on the GLL Masters Summers here for the Americas region. A lot of production effort goes in the back end. I mean, I remember in one of those games I was talking about how, like, one of the players in the kill feed from Rogue got dropped, and then within seconds, observers like, we're watching Rogue, and it's like, as a commentator and people that are just watching it, it helps us follow the stories. So again, great, appreciate the guys behind the scenes that are running it that don't get as much credit as they deserve. So big shout outs to them, as well as everybody in chat who's actually taking the time to come and watch.
Thank you so much, guys. I know sometimes you're like, oh my god, casters, stop talking. Just to let you guys know, we got to make sure all of the players get inside the lobby. We're on our last day before we move into what's going to be, I guess, the last chance next week, and then the finals the week after. So we want to make sure everybody has every opportunity moving forward. So with this, everybody looks like they're starting to get pretty full out, and we'll stop the overtalk sections, because I know chat, you guys love to see us talk, but we do want to try to get in the game just as fast as you guys do. So
which is ironic in its own sense, right? Because like when it's talking and it's our faces, they're like, we hate it, but then when they're in game and they're distracted by gameplay, they're like, okay, it's not so bad. Like maybe that's what you do. Production, just put up highlights, highlights, anything, you know, anything that's not my face. I think you'll make the people happy.
This is true. I mean, I feel it sometimes whenever I get in front of the camera and I'm just like, oh, there we go. See, oh man, it's just so
hey man, I said
easier.
anything. I said anything. So oh man, you guys must love this. Oh dang it, they ruined it. All right, you know, we had an opportunity to really make them happy, and just you took it away just like that. So again, production, glad you guys are having some fun with it and rolling with the punches, as we greatly appreciate you guys being able to handle it. The big
and
one
also,
was last
can we
week.
talk about? Can we talk about GL's music selection in between every single time? I don't know what it is about their
It's all about the money,
music
man. It's all about the money.
All of their music is so good. Helps me get me hyped moving into the day.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously with the DMCA thing that's going on right now for streaming and stuff, you have to be really careful about what you touch. So a lot of people are kind of handpicking the playlist rather than just be like, oh yeah, this is popular, I like this. So I think you are getting a little bit more curated of a playlist, and it's giving some bangers for people to listen to in chat. I saw some people in chat earlier actually spamming it when the song came on, because after 4 weeks, I feel like they've heard it a couple times. So
just a few.
Showing along with them, man.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quick update on how everything goes through whenever we're talking about the leaderboards. We haven't had a chance to really talk about TSM so much so far today, but they're perfectly fine, guys. I think at this point they're at, doing quick caster math, 112 points ahead of Sentinels, who has moved into second. Back behind that, 14 points is going to be Rogue. So we keep talking about the top 10. Whenever we look at iShiny Muffin's Protectful, they have about a 20-point lead over Superior. And remember, Superior is in Lobby B. So whenever we're talking about the top 10 that advance to the grand finals, automatically Superior is still in the conversation. Aim Assist is back behind them, HRN, Solafide, Yeet Squad back behind that. But also, teams we need to keep an eye out for are Anime Girls Uwu, Motion Team, Roof Koreans, Big PP Bandits, and Team Pharaoh.
Some very top tier names in there, obviously, but we're gonna move right along on that as we get into the drop phase here, guys. Jumping on with Team Liquid, obviously our winners, playing that more passive route with the high ground towards the tail end as we get into a different map. King Canyon obviously updated in patch 5, so some a little bit difference to it, but I guess the biggest thing is I just miss Skulltown, as it was a hot drop, but again, starting to really become fond of some of these new places and a lot of different angles of approach. I think that was the biggest thing that they learned when they put out World's Edge, was there's a lot of different changes in elevation and the ability to attack from multiple angles in all these buildings. So when they revamped this one, that really kept in mind how they could take a map that had already pre-existed, but kind of add these different changes when these guys have to rotate through, and it's making for a much different approach on how the players actually tackle their, you know, the repositioning, or, you know, if they're going to take a fight, where can we attack from or reposition and take these shots from? And it's given us a much more dynamic gameplay when it comes to like actual fights breaking out. So big fan of King's Canyon, the way it's proved. My bias will always show for this map, as it is the old tried and true. And shots coming down right away.
I just want to give you guys a quick update. If you see 19 squads left, that's where we started at, because unfortunately TLP did not join. That was, I think, part of the reason we were holding up for just 1 second. But see Solafide getting caught up into a long-range skirmish. They do have Metro that has gone down. Look like they're trying to maybe reposition back over to go for the banner recovery. Got to be a little bit cautious onto it right now. Seeing maybe they can get a little bit more information, take a couple of shots, but it's going to be Anime Girls Uwu. They're having to be very cautious on this one. MS Shade's taking a lot of damage, but with this slowly retreating back out, and might see the banner get picked up, is really it's just going to be a little bit in between the two of them. Shade's still playing up and forward, not a lot to work with, but Yeet Squad finding themselves in the thick of it.
Yeah, shots coming down. He only got Nice Wig on the top side left, trying to see if he can do something with this wingman. Pulling his angles, getting pings from his teammates, so he's got some information to work with, trying to watch that top angle. Looking left, right, going to try to go on the backside, going to secure those kills if he can. 2 points is 2 points at this point, as he's going to back out completely using that Pathfinder grapple hook to get out, but shots coming down. He's going to have to bob and weave back through, and should be okay. Doesn't have the ability to close the door, but shots coming out. Another team there, and is going to remove. So Yeet Squad, someone nipping at the heels, need to be careful. And he's just going to retreat. Doesn't make sense for him to stay in this engagement. Going to hide, and hopefully the team then overpasses, and he can go back in and get those banners. Because as one of the teams, one of the first 2 teams eliminated, puts themselves in a really hard time, and only playing for placement is not really an option right now.
Well, New Brainers is on the hunt. You can see chasing after trying to get a little bit more vision up towards the top. I don't know if they've spotted him out just quite yet. It's like they're repositioning. I couldn't tell whenever they went through. They're playing in a low area. Looks like they're going to go ahead and go through the caves. Still going for the aggressive markers off of it. New Brainers. Looks like they did finally spot him out. It's going to be nice we getting taken down. And there we go. Down to 16 squads already.
Again, we talked about the intimacy here on Kings Canyon, the revamp map. Quite a bit smaller than World's Edge, so shots coming out. Good shots from Pow Pow here, showing what that wingman can do. 47 damage a hit. And he's just going to rotate back, get some heavy ammo. Nothing too crazy. Shots coming out from Casper. Only 3 damage away from leveling up that Evo shield. As he does just that, 38 damage, and it levels up. He's going to immediately pop that shield cell, get himself to full health.
Pretty close towards the next safe zone. The zone's about to start collapsing in just a few seconds. MVP playing around the outside of this one right now. Playing over next to Capacitor Junction, doing a little bit of a look around. Already locks Vaxel on right now, so having to be a little bit cautious with it. Looks like they've opted into maybe playing this one out and going for a different approach inside the safe zone, trying to get a little bit more breathing space. As you can see back behind them, Pow Pow keeping a constant eye to make sure nobody is on the hunt for them.
Just going to rotate around, just making sure somebody's there. Do have the beacon from Vaxelon, so should be able to get a revive here. Just need to be careful as it makes a ton of noise as everybody else comes by. Just checking the angles before they drop the revive. And looks like they're going to go for it. So, again, a lot of noise being made. You can see that dropship coming in, so hopefully going to be able to find some weapons for their teammate, or they can go back to the old bodies, but at this point, relatively safe. Nothing they got to worry about here.
All right, you can see it's going to be Eye Shiny and crew looking back over. See if they can spot out anything on the approach. They have a little bit of vision to work with, but you can see it's a little bit tricksy. We got the X-ray through, so we know exactly where they are. Looks like a couple of shots going to be coming out. They are aware now that 2 different teams could be active based off of positioning, so we're going to have to play this one a little bit more cautious. Repositioning around based off of information is a key value component right now. Pretty much you can see iShiny's kind of by himself. Doesn't have a lot of his team quite over here next to him at the time. With this doing a good job on tracking through, just barely spotting that one out, taking a couple of shots. And a little bit of reinforcements, taking a couple of shots with him as well. Going to have to be very careful.
Yeah, you saw McCarthy for a long time just kind of peeking from this window. Doesn't really want to make too much aggression, just trying to get information. So eventually the teams do rotate through as we jump on with HRN again, using more from the old Energy squad, trying to put some shot down as Urice with that wingman. Pretty good base setup here already with Watson. We saw, I think, was it last week where we had that team that played Peekaboo that just popped up behind and completely overwhelmed the team from those stairs. So need to be careful to check that angle as well.
I like the defensive nature of this compound. Whenever you play it up and you defend it up, you have a lot that you can work with. Really, there's only one solid approach that you have to be cautious of, and that's the stairs. Other than that, you have vision for days, and you can get so much out of it. And that's why you can see they're bouncing back, constantly on the move, making sure nothing can approach on dangerous angles. Pretty close towards the center as well. It's just south of the cage is probably going to be where we're going to be seeing, well, that's the center point where we're going to see a lot of our teams rotating point based off of. Most of our teams are also playing back over towards the east. So if we see western shifts, that means that there's going to be a lot of potential violence in rotation phase.
Yeah, need to be careful. Luckily for Energy, though, like you said, right in that middle choke point, exact center of the circle. So can be able to stay there for relatively a long time, unless it's like a major hard shift after another, but don't foresee that happening. If we could pull up the map here, actually, Mr. Observer Man, and give us kind of an oversight of the circle. I'm curious to see where the Pathfinder is going. So it does shift a little bit more to the southeast towards Hydro. So still in a really good spot for Energy and the rest of these teams. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of guys come through Swamp that are going to have to move down. But again, other than that, like, people are pretty happy. Pit is taking their time. Maybe they're trying to find Summit. I don't know what's going on.
I'm kind of confused as well. I mean, there's no teams around them. There were no aggressors. Maybe just looting. I don't know. I don't know what could cause a rotation that late whenever there's no one next to you.
I mean, maybe they thought someone was. I don't know. Just taking their time, man. Taking their time. First circle doesn't hurt that much.
Yeah, it's still a little bit of damage to tank. Don't always have to tank it. You can see we got aim assist and crew showing up. Nobody paid $50, but our observers are trying to showcase them as necessary, so you're not going to get them all the time, guys. Just going to go ahead and glance back. So, now you can see TSM looking back over. By the way, that was a joke inside of chat. Don't think that you can actually bribe the spectators to show you.
No. Send it to me. Go to my Twitch channel. PayPal me. If I get the, I'll do it. Wink, wink. Totally will convince them. Not lying. Smile.
Well, MVP finds themselves on a little bit of action. Gonna go and throw out the Arc Star, see if maybe they can connect off of it. Instead, buying at least some space to work with. Gotta be careful, is on the other side of it. Looks like Team Liquid trying to find a little bit of vision. They've got a lot of range off in the distance. Almost hits that shot, but does not quite connect. Going for a little bit of peekaboo back over towards the doorway. Gotta be careful, though, whenever you got Team Liquid this close, just taking those pot shots.
Yeah, Flanker trying to do whatever he can with that Sentinel. Gold one at that, so not gonna waste any shield batteries to charge it up, but still plenty of damage. Referred to kind of as a mini Kraber at times based on how hard it hits. And it's just rewarding having that bolt action when you land those shots. So does have the thermal, should be able to spot him between the trees, but Pao doing a really good job using the deflate and going down low, so should be able to rotate around. And with the return fire on that Skull Piercer, man.
They've got to be so cautious on how they play this. They are so close to the next safe zone, but are being firmly gate kept. Have to see how they opt into responding to this. On the other side of this, you can see Aim Assist has lost one, but they still have Designful and Gentrifying still up and active right now. I'm very curious to see if we're going to see any more sneaky peeks coming through. And oh my god, Unknown is just ripping them apart as they're trying to go for repositions. This guy, Unknown, got a full setup. They've got the high ground advance and are on chase. Crummy has to be careful. They're going to go ahead and instead drop back down and say, all right, maybe that one might be a little bit too aggressive. Retreat back over and got himself a nice little cubby to hide out in as he just narrowly made it away.
I mean, case in point, it's exactly what he was trying to do for the other team, and then he made the play himself and got punished for it. So being on the receiving end of exactly what he's trying to punish another team for, and he's going to have to back off. Aim Assist here, obviously taking quite a bit of damage, but more importantly, Gentrifying did manage to get across with that Wraith. Phase shift, shots coming out, 60 damage from the Sentinel. Going to crack the shields, just seeing if he can peek and see if there's anybody else over on the other side. Having this high ground, able to get it, gets popped by one, but needs to be careful of that peek. Drops him again, those shields going down so quick. Because there's another team down below, but here comes the Gibraltar ult. Probably going to have to move out of this one unless he can find a cheeky angle on the corner.
I think he managed to find himself a little place that he can hide out at. Meanwhile, Designful trying to make sure to apply pressure down on the lower part of this fight. Got Pathfinder going to reposition based off of that. Now going to go ahead and give a little bit more space for Gentrifying to try to capitalize with that high ground. Go ahead and throw out a couple of Arc Stars. See if maybe you can force him back into the firing lines. Gentrifying capitalizes off it. Drops Matt Pickett. Designful has to be careful, though. He doesn't want to over-aggress just quite yet. Still getting shot back over towards the left side. Trying to go ahead and get this one. Connects with a beautiful shot onto it, but trying to retreat back. Gentrifying's trying to provide whatever support can, but too far away right now to get a lot of work in. Trying to get another tap back over towards it, but not going to be able to get the flushes out.
A downfall of only having two players. Gentrifying does a good job of flying cover up top, but at the same time, he was actually trying to push across with that Pathfinder. He wanted high ground still, but because he doesn't grasp the ledge correctly, he ends up falling down and putting himself in a really tough position against 303. So 303 kind of getting gifted a kill here as they found themselves on the receiving end of all those Arc Stars. Not going to work out here as Oi Senpai and the rest just going to rotate through. Need to get to that high ground and try to hopefully force him out of that, but again, HRN nearby as well. And with all this action going down, it's only a matter of time until they punish him for it. 303 with a Mastiff.
That shot was sexy. I could watch that all day. 303, we haven't had a chance to really watch them a ton. But going to go ahead and flush out Aim Assist here. They're presently sitting in 8th on the leaderboard, so still in a comfortable position to make it into the grand finals. They just need to keep up a little bit more pressure. 303 still playing back over on the high ground positions right now, while they're going to go ahead and firmly regroup. And this is a pretty nice control point to play from. We saw the fact that Gentrifying was trying to put in a lot of work up here, but he was they kind of lost one early, so couldn't get the firm defense that they really wanted to get out of it.
Yeah, Hydrodram's a unique one just because there's so many places high and low, but at the same time, there's a lot of open area that you can see here based on where HRN's taking shots. Need to be careful, though, as they do have 303 up above to their left, so need to be careful of how much noise they do make. Luckily, Gibraltar should be able to flush out 303 if they do decide to engage, but that Watson ultimate in the back pocket, so I think 303 is going to be pretty happy up here for quite a while and a lot of places to work with as they go back and forth between these different angles of approach. I think they heard those shots too from HRN, so just kind of peeking down below, seeing if they can spot anybody out.
And this is a big opportunity for HRN. They are right back behind Aim Assist in 12th. So this could be their opportunity to net a lot of points past Aim Assist and maybe potentially past Superior, move into the top 10 themselves. They have to be very cautious with it, though. A couple of points really is the only thing that's going to separate out, as it's just 7 to move into the top 10 right now, depending on how Superior does inside of the other lobby. But you can see it's going to be HRN under a little bit of pressure now. Have to be careful off of it. Throwable starting to come back inside of it. And go ahead and go for a full rebuild off of it more. Looks like he might be the guy going for the peak. They're just going to go ahead and run through the fences, try to play this one out. But it's going to be Roof Koreans just down to a turtle trying to make it away. And that's going to be another point picked up for HRN.
So much crossfire as well. As soon as he gets out that door, you just see tracers from every which direction. Gets caught in the middle of it, so drop down, shots more coming out, just trying to make this their own base. As they clear out some of these, TSM in the nearby, gonna try to third party this. Bunch of damage coming out from Hal. Able to just land so many EVA shots in the bubble, allows him to kind of push it even further. Drops down one, you got Aberlelli on the other side on more, so a lot of attack coming in. They've got 3 players left for TSM, just trying to flush out these kills, as there's only 1 player available. But Rogue also nearby, so a lot of action happening in the kill feed. I can't even say it, there's so much action going down. You see simply just dropping down the Watson fence on that portal, and you see it paying off as one comes through immediately. Bopped, it goes right back through.
HRN had hopes and dreams to try to accomplish a little bit more, but now simply the last one alive has to go full on defensive mode, trying to get back away from this one. TSM, a firm aggressor up above them, do find themselves a little bit of a safe cubby to hide out in for the time, but praying nobody else chooses to approach back over towards it. Starting to get a little bit of shots. Have to be very careful. It's going to be high ground. Not a lot of places to go down inside the trench, and HRN goes down as well. So this could be opening up a little bit more of an option for Team Superior back over towards Lobby B, but it's going to be 303 Esports trying to rein in a little bit of death back in this high ground position. Not going to connect with enough, but going to do at least force them away from that spot.
Yeah, unfortunate for Oi Senpai. He's just waiting for that loot to be picked up and wants to land the shot to apply some damage, but unable to connect either on the retreat. So, again, nothing to land there as Ziploc Bags getting an engagement. Just trying to cover this north rotation. Trying to gatekeep their backside, make sure that there's nobody pushing in from behind them. Yo-Yo has some options to play on the other side of this hill as well, but doesn't want to take too low coverage.
Hard shift back down towards the south.
Yeah, needs to be careful on the backside too. The more action they take here, the more knowledge they're giving everybody else with the noise. But again, need to secure this backside so they don't get caught rotating. New Brainers on the outside.
Trying to figure out how they're going to make their way through this one. Trying to connect with enough shots. Not going to get a lot out of it. Gonna have to retreat out of that point, but the longer that this goes on, just like you were saying a second ago, Lawler, it means it's going to be that much more difficult. We have 10 teams, 28 still alive. Going to have to charge their way through. Ziploc Bags got themselves a firm defended position, trying to make sure that they do not allow the Wraith to get out of it, but looks like might be able to make it up the hillside. That could provide a little bit of support for the team. A couple of shots now coming through as well, forcing Ziploc Bags back away from that angle. Instead, going to go ahead and retreat back down, use the back wall for cover, and now have to be very cautious as they're starting to spot out a couple other teams that might want to aggress towards them.
Yeah, always an option to kind of retreat back, but at the same time, they're retreating back into teams that have already solidified their spots in there. And you can see exactly why Stompy, as soon as it goes up top, gets actually dropped down. And now he's got to be in trouble from the other ones. Bunch of projectiles coming through and just under so much pressure. So now, sandwiched between two teams that they're getting aggressive. New Brainers able to just find him on the corner. This Wraith going to have to phase shift, but they're going to follow him down and not let him go, but actually being protected from another team. So many people overlapping on top here that it looks like that Wraith was actually able to get away.
If you ever want to know what a death funnel looks like, it's when all the teams from the north have to make their way back down in the safe zone and there's too many choke points, so there's nowhere to go. Gobble trying to stay alive right now, hunkering down in defensive positions, but all of these spots back around this point are just going to have so many teams converging around this location. The walls just make it to where there's not a lot of different places to go and everybody's going to have to fight it out. New Brainers are on the backside of this one, still trying to make their way back over towards the zone. Going to go ahead and throw out a zipline, trying to make their way up, but not going to get a lot of it. Just one member up. Gobble runs back out, trying to get a little bit more. Tries to get this one, at least going to go ahead and get the flush onto it, but at what cost? Still just trying to survive, trying to find some type of sneaky angle, tries to make it back towards the portal, does manage to get back over there.
Love the fact that he had the time to just kind of crouch a couple times in front and be like, yeah, I don't know what to do either, man. Like, good luck. And then he just kind of pieces out. So, able to get thrown on the backside. Yeah, pretty much. It was just like a common agreement of like, okay, man, like, good luck, firm handshakes, and backs out. So, TSM still alive here on the top side, able to pick up a couple more after that initial fight and push from Imperial Howell and the rest of the guys. But They do spot one up top. Going to end up using that portal on the outside. Need to be careful, though. There's a team coming in through double doors. Just checking their angles. Energy over the top. A team that's been playing super well today. Extremely consistent towards the top. And #1 overall on week 4. But that bubble providing the cover that is absolutely crucial. Going to move in and see if they can get some shields, and actually being rewarded for it is Nafin.
Got to be a little bit careful. iShiny does manage to take down Reps back behind this. Imperial Hal, the last one up, pretty close towards the center of the present safe zone, but gonna have to make his way back over towards the east. Gonna have to be very cautious with it. A big firefight happening back over towards the north. We were kind of telling you about how that was gonna break down. So now down to just 6 teams, 14 alive. Quick jumps around. You can see realizing in a very bad spot. Shiny, the last one up for his team as well. Pretty close to the same location. Gonna have to make his way back over towards the east. Trying to see if he can spot out anybody, but it's gonna be NRG. We talked about these guys like the hunt, and they're starting to spot out all of these stragglers and inflicting damage on every single one they can. If they can take out a couple of these solos that are hiding out there, it's going to give them so much more territory to work with.
Yeah, need to be careful. Nafin on the back end side. Energy poised to take yet another one. TSM and Shiny were both in a position where they were solos, but Nafin just not missing shots with that flatline, able to crack the shields on one before they get away. Well, it does take some damage from a different angle. Need to be careful, but that is information they're able to play with. Team over here to the side. Just trying to get whatever they can to get ready for this late game. The next couple of seconds here. 10 seconds for the 5th circle. As Sentinels, a lot of open ground to cover before they move in.
You can see they did not want to do this. There's not a lot of good safe positions that they can work with. NRG still continuing to go after anything that moves right now. They spot out a big fight that's going off towards the side of it. Gibraltar Shield's going to go down. Might buy a little bit more space, but you can see they're doing a good job of controlling the territory in the next safe zone. They're trying to stall out, force everybody else to fight. Do the work for them, so that way every single time a fight breaks down, they can just move into a capital point. On the other side of it, it's going to be Sentinel starting to get more high ground control, looking back down on all of these fights, trying to third party, but have to be very careful. Meanwhile, in the thick of it, it's going to be NRG. Runs up, goes ahead and gets down, sniped down. Has to be careful. As you can see, it is just death and hellfire up in front of him.
Yeah, Nafin's been absolutely crutch here on the last 5 squads. The way that they played that is that early aggression in those 2 Arc Stars immediately made that team that had no cover have to back out and throw down the Gibraltar and bubble. So those cooldowns are now done, as Rogue on the back end here getting absolutely dismantled by Sentinels. Energy still with the cover on the back side and has middle of circle, able to cover the top side. So in a really good position here and poised to look to take it, as multiple teams, just too many options for Rocker. Doesn't know who to put down as he puts damage on a little bit of everything, spreading it across. So it's going to be Sentinels, Energy, another team on the back end side here on the east. And there's still one hiding somewhere. So not sure if McCarthy was able to stay alive for Shiny or if he is gone as well. But 303, the team underneath, and fully healthy. So trying to push up and use the cost of gas to their advantage.
This is such a complex section of the map to have the final circles go to. You can see there's a lot of verticality that's coming into play. There's a lot of these little, like, I guess, terrain points that kind of pop out that you can hide behind. You got to find these different angles to work with, but Sentinels have managed to kind of collapse back down. They've got themselves a safe point for now, but they have to be very cautious as they don't have a lot of good options to move forward. Around the side of it, it's going to be 303 continuing to harass, just dropping down, taking a couple of shots, trying to see if they can connect into with anything. Looks like we're kind of having an own independent fight that's happening off towards the side of this. NRG is going to have to be a little bit careful, as they are going to have to move up and forward, but they have the wall to work with. Moving forward, they've got control over the zone, and a lot of these teams are going to be having to come towards them. They know where at least 2 are if they've been hearing the firefight happening in front.
The only downfall pushing up that closest, they are giving up a little bit of the high ground, so might still want to keep someone up back there just for the capabilities, but it looks like Sentinels, they realize that they're trapped down there, so 2 players going down, they're going to just give all of their meds to 1 player who's just going to try to heal it out for placement. Got 303 here. Energy on the gatekeep. Just seeing if they can spread out and find somebody on the backside. They end up jumping over the top. Nafin able to put some damage down. Another one using that phase in that portal. Bunch of damage here from Rocker, who's been putting so much damage down with that Prowler with the attachment. Full auto getting returned here on Frex. Needs to back off. 303 on the outside, able to cover a different angle. Shots going down. Energy getting dropped down as well. The Mastiff being absolutely crucial. Able to do some damage, but needs to reload, so gonna have to back off. Only gets 1 slug back in the chamber, and it does not matter. 303 with the angle. Able to approach this collectively and get the victory.
303 heard me say apparently that we haven't had a chance to watch them a whole bunch, walking away with a round victory, and that was such a messy fight on so many levels for so many of these teams, but 303 was always controlled. You saw how they were stepping around, inflicting damage on the Sentinels, not letting them make their way back over to where Sentinels now had to just take a ton of zone damage. Whenever we saw the other teams repositioning around, they made sure to always have vision and move into capital points to where they can take damage back over and retreat back away. It was a very hit and run based skirmish, and it constantly went in the favor of 303.
Yeah, it kind of makes me curious on what happened to TSM there. You know, we took a blink, and then all of a sudden between them and Shiny, both teams are left with one player, and it's like, okay, what happened here? And I think a lot of it was due to 303 possibly third partying. As we take a look at the highlights here in our fourth match of the day, our first on Kings Canyon, a lot of fight for high ground between aim assist, gentrifying, and the guys obviously getting picked up as they rotated up. New Brainer was in a fight. A lot of these middle of the pack teams that have been kind of fighting to, you know, just inch in to that top 10, but here's that massive shot we were just absolutely loving. The slow-mo of it too. So beautiful shots here on that drop down, but again, it was TSM, 303, Sentinels, Rogue, a bunch of big names all in the same area. TSM initially came out on top, but then eventually it was just so many teams just fending for their lives, and great shots there by Gobble with that wingman. But again, the tail end, 303 handled it well. You know, they took the backside, high position, made sure to block out Sentinels, remove that fight. And then I do think Energy made a mistake here. When they pushed up super far, yes, they gatekeep the circle, but you're trying to avoid that engagement altogether because you have circle. Those players have to rotate into you. You don't have to force it. And unfortunately for them, it ended up going against their favor because 303, this right here, look at Fury. His positioning is absolutely perfect on the outside. The Mastiff, he probably could have finished himself if he didn't have to reload here.
It was a little bit of tunnel vision. You could tell they saw the fight that was going on in front of them. Everybody from NRG was looking back over, trying to third party, and Fury just crouches on the side, sneaks up, and then steps up with a shotgun, and nobody is even looking his way, and he's like, well, I can make something out of this, and just rings in so much damage, and NRG had to instantly respond back over towards him. He retreated away from it, being a perfect distraction to allow the rest of 303 to get a ton of kills out of it.
Yeah, guys, crazy game 4 here for the GLL Masters Summer. Obviously, we've got to get the points and everything totaled up. Takes a little bit for that. So we're going to jump to a quick break. When we come back, guys, we're going to have our second match of Kings Canyon ready and underway for the Americas region. Well, don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome back everybody to the GLL Master Summer. Lola here alongside Matchroom calling the action. We just finished up game 4 of the day, our first on Kings Canyon, and a slugfest it was, especially towards the tail end of that one. Speaking of slugs, man, Mastiff coming into play.
Oh, Fury put in so much work on the side of that for 303. NRG had great positioning, but 303 managed to find an opportunity, and they managed to get it to work. 12 kills, 24 placement points for 48 points, all things considered. Big performance. NRG, though, these guys have been active, specifically in late game and going after kills repeatedly today, walking away with 32. Back behind that, New Brainer is going to go ahead and walk away with 26 points, and Rogue showing up and getting 18 as well after having a pretty quiet early day so far.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show the difference in kills, obviously, in the Bravo and the Alpha Division, the difference between that double point game in the Alpha Division. As we take a look at the leaderboards here for the entire day, Energy making a name for themselves. This is a team that we've had our eyes on. You know, they haven't had the best performances consistently throughout the weeks and want them to get their feet wet. And I mean, as we look at the leaderboards, they were tied for last place in that top 10. You know, 9th, 10th, 208 points with Smile. They come out today, 110 points, easily jumping up. I mean, that's 3rd place going into the day. So again, putting themselves and solidifying themselves as a team that will be in that grand final is exactly what they want to accomplish. And we've still got 2 games to go. So congrats to Energy, the way they're playing, as we kind of work down the list. Aim Assist, a lot of people had their eyes on as they even started today with actually less players than they originally wanted, with 2 instead of 3. And they've been bouncing back, consistent results for them, plenty of kills to boot. So massive congratulations to them.
303 is going to be where my eyes are drawn and seeing how they move forward inside the overall leaderboard. But let's not worry about overall leaderboards. We got time for that after this game. Let's go ahead instead follow in with 303 as they make their drop back over towards Kings Canyon. We got 2 more rounds left for the day, and let's see if 303 can continue on the momentum that they picked up in that last game.
Yeah, gonna be an interesting one to see how they kind of carry this one out. I actually really like this drop spot too, because there's a lot of rotation options that they can make from here based upon if they want to go east or west. It's kind of interesting to see like how these things have developed too with the new map. More importantly, I think just in general that there's so many viable options for loot now that you really don't see those early engagements as much unless like it's on accident. Like a team just rotates and like, oh crap, you rotated here too. So a little bit more kind of time to just kind of figure it out. And I guess the only thing that we wait for at this moment is the Pathfinder passive. And speak of the devil, it's like this observer can read my mind. Love that, man. And a little bit more central on this one. That's a lot of rock face to play with.
That's what I was about to say. That is a lot of dead space in what's going to be the Pathfinder circle for 2. So that means that teams that are going to go ahead and get this information know the fact that they're going to have to find cubbies and kind of use that as terrain points to fight their way out of. Control sections that we're looking for are pretty close to center, already in control. See, that's going to be a key factor. If they opt into staying there is the big point, as a lot of teams might just choose to dive bomb back over towards the center early just due to the strength of that. And while you can get some loot, you might not be as looted as somebody coming over from, I don't know, let's take a couple of wild guesses, like Market or somewhere on that general location. You're going to have tools to work with, but you might not be as geared to some of these other teams that are coming in. So whenever you have center and everything just drop immediately on you, you have to be careful and think about, can I win the torrent of enemies that could be coming my way?
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of being on the north side too by artillery is just having so many different options to where you want to reposition, whether you want to go west, south, or east. Especially if nobody's contesting you. So a lot of opportunities here as we jump back with 303, our leaders of the last game, due to their phenomenal play and overwhelming pressure they put on NRG towards the end. But just kind of looting up, taking their time, no real pressure here. They are, I think, west of Capacitor and east of Containment, kind of in that weird in-between. And this is kind of those adjustments to Kings Canyon. For those, Apex has kind of been this weird balance for the competitive side where some people are jumping in more and less and haven't really gotten their chance to get their feet wet with some of these new maps. And when that revamp came in, I think a lot of people decided it was a welcoming change. You know, you went and played World's Edge for a long time and were just like, hey man, like there's so many different angles of approach and there's so much elevation to work with and all this other kind of stuff. And this is kind of those revamped areas that just provide so many unique opportunities for how they approach these fights. Case in point, NRG on the outside here. They want to use this portal. They can wrap back around low. Do they want to play it high? Like all this different coverage, it changes the way you have to take this fight. And I mean, you see it act by the way, just look at the different angles he's having to take. He takes that corner, he looks down, he has to look to his right. He can still have people behind him, and that's the diversity you're getting on this new map. So that coupled with it being nice, close, and personal, man, absolutely love the change. So shots here from Team Liquid as they're trying to fight out. Got some Watson fences over on the other side. His Sentinel shot coming out too from what looks like the teammate. Casper's using that quite a bit today. Not
I like this.
Too much
damage.
damage.
Get a little bit of tick damage. Team Liquid looking back over, saying, hey, thanks, you might provide your own form of doom as we can take that approach coming through. Pathfinder says, no, he's got his own. Jumps up, takes a couple of shotgun blasts. Got to be careful with it, connecting with just enough to make it hurt. But Casper goes down. That's going to be pretty bad. Nocturnal's last one up on near on no life. Is he going to be able to get out of this position? It's going to be MVP still holding up on the high ground that says, no, thank you, sir.
What a shot where the wingman just peeks over and dinks him in the head. But MVP's got to back out now. A lot of aggression there. They got probably a little bit more than could chew. Even Anime Girls is in this one. So a lot of action going down. And that's what I talk about. When he was up top, man, looking at all those angles, he's like, all right, nobody here, nobody here, nobody here. Blinks, and all of a sudden 4 teams all in the same area. So again, need to be careful because when you're in those middle of the maps, it travels so far and you can get that information. And with how fast the movement is in this game, people will convey their actions to you as quickly as possible. So looks like Anime Girls are going to take this. Unfortunate for Team Liquid as they on the receiving end of that one, despite being the aggressors, got to land those shots. Mastiff was not able to do that. So tough situation for them as this one's going to settle out a little bit.
Geometry coming in big for a lot of these teams, trying to play close towards the center, so that way hopefully they're not going to have to move again. You can see the choke points leading to a lot of struggles for these teams, as teams are trying to make their way through, potentially make their way even further into the safe zone, but just can't quite find the pathing, as it's getting very complex and messy around all of these sustainable choke points around these different points. Teams are having to move forward, take it a couple of shots, but look at the vision some of these teams are working with. TSM sitting on the high ground can just look out for days upon days. And when you're a team like TSM, these guys can hit their shots regardless of distance and are going to be constantly fighting around off different points. This one point has been contested by 3 to 4 different teams holding this hillside.
Yeah, man. I mean, not only does it have crazy high ground, it's also the middle of the map. The ability to have, I guess, versatility in how you want to rotate. Being able to be so flexible in however they approach it. And unfortunately for MVP, being in the middle of it all, the brunt end of it coming from the Gibraltar ultimate as he gets knocked down. You can see also in the kill feed energy getting involved with some of the players on Pow Pow and the rest. So just a bunch of shots coming out. Abrelelli showing what you can do with that G7 Scout, a fan favorite as of late.
Everybody is just trying to play some Apex Legends right now, and TSM is forcing everybody to just stare at the walls of whatever building or cover they can find.
Not been fun as Ziploc bags back in this cave side, just to the south of where we saw that action. So learning after all the noise, probably just remove ourselves from that situation a little bit here. As just kind of covering these choke points, making sure that if somebody rotates through, they're going to get caught up just a little bit. Either way, they're going to have to shoot down the Watson fence. As SMP actually in the area. This is Shiny Muffins and Protectful. That's a pretty solid results today.
Oh, getting a little bit of a roster, well, I wouldn't say roster change up, but we've got Legend selection coming through as TSM. Trying to get some work put in with that crypto, but gonna go down. And again, it's gonna exchange hands. It's like this vicious battle of King of the Hill as everybody wants this spot. Rogue, you can have it now, but at this point, I feel it's cursed. Look at all of these loot crates just scattered across the hillside.
Some big names getting dropped down early here. The biggest one being TSM. Luckily, they got that massive lead. So it's not going to matter all too much, but for Rogue, who's been struggling today, you know, towards the 15-16 area, actually maybe a little bit higher than that, maybe like 12-13, but still, that's a big fight and a big win for them. A team that normally sits on the outside shows exactly why they do so. Third party coming in and able to clean up, but in the circle as we're looking at this next passive, I mean, it just basically hugs in just a little bit more, nothing too crazy, so people aren't going to have to reposition too much. Is simply going to hold on to that thermite, wait to throw it until the bubble goes down. Does get tagged from behind, so going to block on this door. Someone trying to break in needs to be careful. This is going to back off. Coming in from high and low. Good push from Solafide. Trying to get the back end. Mastiff here trying to open and close that door. The door going all over the place as he's blocked behind. Needs to take a different angle of approach, but if he does, it's in that major choke point where they're already watching as they do find the Gibraltar. Can't land any of the shots. Still down below. Cracks him for 48. Can't close it up, and he's just gonna have to retreat as HRN on the outside as well. Just so much damage going down from both ends. But until we finally get a knock, it's an even trade. Only one left remaining. Solafide in an advantage here. Can they close it out? Shot on the back end. Trying to rotate through. Trying to find this last player. Not sure where he went. Does find him retreating, but Purple shields and he's gonna remove him. Great shots from Metro and gets rewarded as the new kill leader.
Solafide walking away with a ton of kills, and HRN, that was your opportunity, man. You had the capabilities to move forward, try to get a couple more points out of it, climb your way up into the top 10, but going out early like that's going to cause a lot of trouble. Roof Korean's last player, Eternal, still just kind of hiding out right now, showing off the rat cam, and I love the rat cam, by the way. I love to see all these little sneaky places that people manage to hide at. Yeet Squad looks like they're still just trying to hold down a choke point of their own, and that's kind of the name of the game right now. You're already towards the center of the safe zone, got yourself somewhere pretty comfortable, or you're holding down one of these choke points and praying rotation teams are coming your way.
An unfortunate spot for him, but again, Solafide, great push on that one, going from high and low on both sides. Just great coordination, that's what you want to see as we jump over to Sentinels.
Interesting to see them playing down towards the bottom right now.
Yeah.
Naturally, you can't gain a lot of information based off of this position. Curious if maybe a couple of teams have been aggressing back over towards them, or if they're just wanting to full-on defend this right now. So, going to go ahead and retreat back as they're not comfortable with what's going on around them. Sentinel's still just struggling to get a little bit more information what's happening topside.
Back to topside we go with Rogue. Sees the revive and the dropship coming in, so curious to see on how they're going to play this. If they're just going to try to shoot him out of the air. getting tagged from other places, but they know exactly where the team is. Just so much damage from Sweet.
I'm just glad to see the fact that they left the cursed location instead on the hunt right now to manage to take down Frex. Sweet still playing up and forward. Point man for his team spotted out. Another one trying to get a couple of taps on the peaks. Got to be careful. Takes a little bit of, not enough to really scare him away, so going to retreat back away from this one. Rogue still vying for a lot of control back over towards this hillside. Not wanting to make the full-on aggressive play just quite yet, and I think that that's favorable. And oh no, don't go back near this cursed rocks. Those are scary places, and so many people might try to get them. At this point, I feel like they're starting to get a little bit of control, though, so it won't be quite as bad, because it felt like we had so many teams that were funneling into this location early.
I mean, we already got 5 teams that have been eliminated. Obviously, we started with 19 again, as TLP actually didn't end up coming in for the second time. So, not sure what's going on with them. Hopefully, we get some updates on what's going on, but best of luck to them, as they were a team that came in at like 14th today. So, still plenty of potential for them to climb back, but missing out on 2 games is going to be absolutely crucial for that. So, we'll keep tabs on it as Rogue finally gets top of Pride Rock, or whatever we want to call this, middle of the points, where all the action has gone down. As Yeet Squad living up to their name. They've been in a lot of action so far today. And on the tail end of this map, able to escape with the full team, as NRG, a team that originally was in really big trouble after Rogue's damage, is now cleaning up Solo Fide.
Well, we saw the fact that NRG made that early push back over towards the center, and it slipped my mind about the fact that that's where Solo Fide was at. So it looks like Solo Fide was trying to make their push back over, get a little bit more of that vision up top, and kind of got some bullets for their work instead. Meanwhile, Yeet Squad still just trying to control this high ground point, make sure that nobody can approach back over towards them. Gotta be a little bit careful, as iShiny and the rest of the crew still holding down this very strong choke point. I like, again, the way that they're set up back over towards the mini-map. They know that it's very tight. You can kind of control just based off of vision. You don't have to peek around a lot, as long as you keep a lot of control based over for it. Ziploc Bag's doing something kind of similar based off of positioning right now. You have to look back and forth between the two, but you got a little bit of support with it, so... And here we go. We've got Roof Korean's Eternal. Eternal, you have to give it to the guy. He knows how to hide in all these different spots. He's got a lot of little sneaky spots that he can manage to find his way through to survive, but it might be a little bit problematic now.
Yeah, not only is it already difficult with the concept of being 2v3 at the start, but now you're the last one remaining in a lot of these fights going down, as seeing Tricky here. Try to push down on the backside. He's going to get tagged up for a little bit, but he knows there's somebody down below somewhere. Trying to spot out this last player. Can't seem to find him. Doesn't know if he's underneath or where he's at, but trying to use the whole team.
You can see the communication. Yeah, everybody's like, okay, where's the rat? Where is he hiding at? We know there's got to be someone around here. Oh, managed to find him.
Oh, no, Eternal.
You tried so hard. Managed to find another tricky little spot, but New Brainers knows where it's going to be. And again, that's just map knowledge coming in. I like the pings coming. It was like, he was around here somewhere. I was like, wait, I know that there's that one little rock cropping right here.
Good playing as well. Doing it as a team. They're going to get rewarded for it, too, with the purple shield that Eternal had. So, moves out Roof Koreans as we drop down to our final 12 squads. Shots coming out from aim assist over on the top. Someone behind that tree just can't seem to land on a peak. As returning fire happens, team rotating on the top side. Shots coming down. Designful takes about 75 of it.
iShiny and crew have to be a little bit careful. The new circle is not popped over next to them, so they're going to have to shift back over. Still a touch of their choke point that's going to be in play, but I don't know if that's the direction that they're wanting to go, as they're moving entirely away from that one. Maybe feeling like that might be a little bit too hot. Instead, rotate back around, maybe approach back over from the south, which does have a thinner choke point. And I don't know if we've seen any teams back over playing that position just quite yet. So they might find themselves an opportunity. Nope, I was going to be wrong. There's already going to be a team that's going to be posted up over there, but they're going to be running up back behind them. So good opportunity to maybe catch somebody with their pants down if they round this corner and spot them out first. Looks like they're going to sneak over. Do see it. Take the shots very quickly. Inflict a lot of damage. And it is just a quick rush in. Gibraltar Shield's going to come down on both sides. Exchange going back and forth, jumping through the throwables, but that's 2 down, just 1 up, and it's going to be Muffins trying to find something to get some work out of this. Got to be a little bit careful with it. Going to have to retreat back away. Big firefight happening on the other side of it. It's going to be Yeet Squad taking the shots onto it, on the hunt after him. Going to be able to spot out the positions. That's going to be Control going over towards Yeet Squad for position.
Yeah, really tough, but it's still on the top side. You got aim assist coming out as well. I'm going to try to back out of this and reposition. In a really rough spot, could use that portal and just completely disengage altogether. Luckily for them, it is in a safe spot, so Yeet Squad's got to push really heavy to get back over there, but teammate's still alive. Not sure where that other player is for Yeet Squad. Looks like they're going to go for the revive. Should be able to get here relatively safe. Just checking their angles, trying to heal back up. Yeah, don't have to really worry too much here until aim assist comes back in and applies that pressure.
You've got to be cautious off of it. Aim assist feeling a little bit more frisky on it. You're going for a couple of peeks back and forth, but they're in a very cornered position and they know it. Instead, just retreating back away. Got to be careful off of this. Yeet Squad still playing back off of the low ground, trying to connect on everything that's up above and flush this one out. Going to go ahead and get the connection back over towards it. Now, what are they choosing to do with this? They know that they've got a lot of teams that are surrounding them. They are back down towards the south. They're going to have to make a shift back over towards the north as the circle did move away from them. Instead, they've got control, but they also know that there's a lot of enemies surrounding them.
Yeah, still doing a pretty good job. Aim assist was in the area as well, but with all that noise being made, there's not a whole lot they can do. Obviously, they can go to the left side or the right side here. Either way, it's like you're moving into a position that's already been controlled, and with 10 squads remaining, you just have to assume that you need to be careful as you run out here. So not sure if they do have a Wraith Portal available or what's going to happen as 303 just kind of sitting on top here on that edge. Two teams nearby, and then another one to the south.
They've got a good control point to play off of. They've got vision. They've got the walls. But the problem with it is the amount of angles that they're having to watch. With the size of the circle and the amount of teams they're probably going to be making their way over towards them, they're going to find themselves with a lot of company. And it's very hard to protect from that many different angles at once, just with a three-man squad, all things considered. So, NRG looking back down the hillside right now. Got to play this one a little bit careful. They do have the hillside that they can work with, trying to use that one for cover. Instead, going to try to retreat back over towards the choke point. Rocker's trying to bounce his way through this one. Going to go ahead and lose his shields, but going to find himself a little cubby to hide in. He's going to have a little bit of an angle to work with, but has to be careful. Have to assume that there's going to be a lot of people approaching from these angles, just given the fact that there is so much of the circle that is still dead just due to the no man's land that is all of these rocks.
Now we go back to that same location in the middle of the map where so many teams have lost their lives to on that top side by that tree, but at this point they're able to rotate back around, and they do still have his portal, so if they need to rotate out, they can, especially with the iframes. But 303 doing a good job. You talked about how much information that's, you know, really coming down to the in-game leader. Who's going to make the call on, okay, we spot this information, what do we do with this information? And that's where these guys get paid the big bucks, is the ones that are really good at it. As the team going to be pushing straight into 303, they've got the angle and the hard cover, but the team gets right up close and personal as A on the outside. Shots down, but now he's overwhelmed. A big push here from Yeet Squad. Trying to see if they can close it out, see if they can get the information.
Big push coming out. They've got a lot of enemies that are approaching back over, trying to use this opportunity to regain what all is happening. Based off the positioning, it looks like at least 3 different teams have opted into making push back over here. See, Yeet Squad still holding down position right on top of them in no inherent rush. They're like, we're safe for now. So inadvertently, 303 has a couple of defenders in Yeet Squad that are trying to control back over in the other angle where they did get shot from. So with a banner down and out, not a lot of information is going to be fed over. 303 has to figure out what they're going to do. Looking about, watching the repositions coming out from, I thought Yeet Squad made a position back over towards the other side and said, nope, they're playing aggressive, moving back over here, trying to make sure that they clear out this little bit of a corner, inflicting a lot of damage, knowing the fact that there could be a couple of people hiding back over there. Gibraltar, last man standing back over against the wall, but now it looks like 303 has chosen this opportunity to try to take a couple of shots. 6 being the last guy up. Got to be very careful as Sentinels now deciding that they want to join the party back over towards the south.
No, really smart play by 303. As soon as they heard that team push out in Yeet Squad, it's like, all right, now's our chance to third party. They're getting actually rewarded for it. So unfortunately, Yeet Squad living up to their name, but being on the receiving end of a team behind them. And that's the destruction you face sometimes when you play aggressive, and here it comes out. So 303 going to be rewarded. Ton of loot to work with. Unfortunately, still without one of their team members, but as Sentinels and the other teams fight on the other side, they should be relatively healthy. 4 squads remaining, only 10 players left. So a couple teams going in with an advantage. Curious to see Amos is down to 2 as well. In a really good position as well, just outside the circle. Plenty of high ground to work with, so going to be able to see a lot of these teams rotating. Just need to be careful that nobody sneaks up behind them, which at this point can't really happen. So looking pretty healthy for them as Smile engages again.
Still got to be very careful, as it's going to be not a lot of territory to work with. Smile's trying to find some type of approach. Got a Gibraltar shield up in front of him. Instead, retreats back down this little bit of a hill, trying to use the throwables to inflict what damage they can before they commit into the fight. Only Mini's trying to get his shields back up. Does manage to find the time to do so. Now taking the hop back over, taking a couple of shots. Sentinel's got to be very careful off on this. Right along the same angle that we just saw the team just a second ago. Instead, trying to make their way up along the hillside. This is whenever those Gibraltar ults are going to start being very vicious. There's not a lot of places for these teams to hide at grab. It's going to be 303 taking over the kill leader spot, running up and forward with authority. Just going to go ahead and throw out the Gibraltar shield. Got the angles to work with. 3 squads still up and alive, but they're starting to flush out all the damage teams around them. Doing the peek back up, trying to find the angles, looking back around the side, inflicts a lot of damage. 270 double taps right off the go, but now it is just Fury, last man up for 303, trying to inflict what damage he can. Looking back over, seeing if he can make the switch, but no, it's going to pop up. Aim assist gets the round.
Whole lot breaking down towards the tail end there, and he had a great play. Those 2 massive shots, 70 apiece to the chest. I'm like, all right, he got the last one, but he puts the emphasis on making sure he gets a new shield so he can continue the fight with those other teams rotating in. And aim assist, like I said, having that high ground a lot to work with. They just see all these teams rotate into each other, and they're just like, let's just wait. Eventually the team breaks out, they clean up, and they get the placement points for it. So pretty exciting stuff as we're going to take a look at the highlights here in just a bit, but my goodness, that decisive play from Yeet Squad, like, it looked like they were coming in, they're ready to go, but they threw it on themselves, man. I thought they were in a great position. High ground on the team, obviously one off to the distance, but the juicy kills, sometimes they're a little bit too enticing.
And for 303, that's great kill feed awareness.
Yeah.
Whenever you get knocked and you know what's going on and you know that there's a team right next to you and you see them engage in a fight and you can hear the firefight as close as they were, 303 was kind of trapped down inside that position. Here's what's going on with Yeet Squad, sees the kill feed and goes, hey, this is our opportunity. Takes a defensive line back over towards it, takes the shots, quick pickup coming through there, and we had a lot of beautiful plays inside this game.
Yeah, a lot of it went down here, right south of Rogue. That rock in the center, pretty much where the zone started right at the beginning. So many teams just kind of kept funneling through there. Eventually, Rogue was the last one to take position, and they applied a good amount of pressure on Energy on the back end side, but Energy was able to hold it off. They ended up getting healed up. They take out a couple teams there as well. TSM got knocked, I think, in the first like 4 teams as well. So a lot of action that went down in this area. Yeet Squad living up to their name, just full sending on a lot of these teams, but because they do, 303, who was right below them, was able to play a little bit more passive and then rotate out right behind them.
Yeah, and you can see it starts to get messy. Here's the 303 push we were talking about a second ago. To use this, go ahead and get the kills, turn this around, and know the fact that in 30 seconds you've got to run across the way. You can see the Gibraltar ult just putting in a ton of work. 303 just runs in and starts mopping up on all of these damaged players. That is such a good double tap coming through. And look to finish it off. That's just with style. Play back in the feet. I love it. I love it.
I didn't know it was a Kraber shot like that ended up getting the last one. But I mean, when you got 2 players, you might as well go for the no scope. That's sick. Oh, such a clean shot. I don't know if it was a quick scope or a no scope. Either way, I'm happy about it. Anytime I can just see
I'll
kills,
take it
I'm
either
down.
way.
Yeah,
Either way, I'm not a picky man.
No, really good fights towards the tail end, and that's kind of what it's been and what we kind of come to assume here in the Americas region. Just a lot of high octane action, everybody kind of just going for each other. Not as much as Yeet Squad did in that last game, but still enough to make you kind of perk up and be like, okay, something's about to happen. So exciting action all around from everybody. Glad to see it happen, but we're gonna go to a quick break, you guys. When we come back, we've got our 6th and final match of the day, our last one here on Kings Canyon and for the day for week 4. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. This is the GLL Masters Summer here for the Americas region. Hey everybody, welcome back to the GLL Masters Summer. Lawler alongside Matchup calling the action. We just finished up Game 5 where Aim Assist landed the most gorgeous of Kraber shots to get out the victory. And congrats to them for that one as they are trying to slowly inch into the top 10. So a lot of action going down here today, but we're finally on our last and final match here. Not for just Kings Canyon, but also for the day. So before we get into that, we're going to update you guys with the leaderboards and kind of show you everything that's been coming down to the wire. And as we take a look at the last match, you guys can see it. Like I mentioned, Aim Assist up on top, only 5 kills, but 24 placement points puts them at the lead. And shortly behind them, 303, a team that looked like they were trapped underneath Yeet Squad, ended up to play a little bit of the patient game and then come and play spoilers on the backside.
I gotta say, I enjoy watching everything that Aim Assist brings. Whenever they've been playing today, It's just like something about their lifestyle and the way that they play Apex with like the sneaky angles, the style that they bring.
Would you
in.
say
Even
you're
the
all
last
about
one.
it? Is that it?
I am all about it. And I guess they're
lifestyle?
about to be
Is
all
that-
about the money.
Oh, okay.
And the money too, I'm guessing.
You should show it to me.
I don't know. I will. I will. All right, guys. Don't forget the fact that we only have one more map to figure out who's going to be our top 10 and be able to advance on. Dude, this is what we do.
It is a good song.
Whatever.
It is a very good song.
We just run everything. It's so addictive. That and the vibing song, it's just stuck in my head. NRG, though, coming out on top for the overall leaderboard for Alpha Lobby today. So far at 128, right back behind them is going to be Aim Assist, really close to it with about 12 points back behind it. Then a little bit of a drop off. It's going to be Smile, 303, Team Sentinels, MVP, Yeet Squad, Team Liquid, TSM, and Rogue back behind them, rounding out our top 10 so far for today.
Yeah, obviously, as a big reminder, everybody in the Alpha Division getting double points for their placement. That's why you can see how things are added up. And a big deal to allow them to kind of jump ahead. Obviously, we then also have 20 teams in the Bravo Division that are trying to fight for their spot to promote in. And going until, I think, like Game 4, one of the teams, I think Free Smoke, had 60-some points already. So that's equivalent to being in 6th place right now, which is a very big deal with still 3 games to go. So even though people may drop down to that Bravo Division, you know, you could find yourself still in a lucky match. But the big thing that we're paying attention to, and we'll update with you guys at the very end of the day, is the overall scoreboard, which is how many points they've gained across all 5 weeks or all 4 weeks up to this point, because the top 10 are the ones that are going to make it into the grand finals. So a lot of action still to uncover as we kind of focus and switch focus back to our last match of the day, our third and final match on Kings Canyon. And NRG, man, NRG, Aim Assist have been kind of two that have really surprised. NRG, where are they going to find the footing? I want them to play a little bit more aggressive. It's been a little bit better. Game 1 gave us a taste of that, and then Game 2 ever since, man. They've been consistently like top 5 all day today. So NRG really turning heads, and I'm happy for them because I've been waiting to see that consistency. I know it's in them. They just, with this newer roster, just haven't been able to find it, but today's their day.
I'm just curious at this point if anybody has managed to pay off X so that way we can get a lot of Aim Assist inside of our final game for the day. But, I mean, they've been putting on just a hell of a show. I mean, NRG is ahead of them in the leader. Let's not forget about that by any means. And NRG has had some very strong moments today, specifically whenever we watch, just whenever they're taking these mid-game fights, moving in towards the late game. That seems to be a key point for their victories. But whenever we watch Aim Assist play, it's just stylish. I know we were making jokes about it just a second ago, but it really is. Just having the confidence to be like, yeah, I can take this Kraber shot, or hey, look, I know about this one sneaky little spot that I can shoot you from that you're never going to expect.
I mean, the same thing applies to Smile on the other side having a fantastic day, even though they don't have the kills to boot. I mean, you're talking a first place victory, a third, a fourth, and another fourth. I mean, yeah, they have one game where 16th, but the same thing can be said about Aim Assist. They had a 13th. Otherwise, for them, same situations. A third, a first. Like, the consistent results is what we need. You need to be able to come in and game out and show that if you place towards the top, you're going to make up for those differences, because we talked about having to make up for multiple spots. It can't just be a one and done thing, because if the other team has one game, it nullifies it. So again, consistent results from these guys towards the top, trying to move into that top 10. Very big deal, and congratulations to them because they're doing just that.
Speaking about one and done, I've got a little bit of an eye back over towards my boy Eternal, who always finds himself the last man standing for his squad, trying to find somewhere to hide at. Come on, guys. You guys can do this. I know it's just the two of you, so that makes it a lot more difficult, but find somewhere that you can drop so that way you don't take an early casualty, and then you guys can move into the later stages of the game. I mean, that's the small victory from me regarding him. I love watching Eternal. I love watching teams try to find out where he's hiding at, but I just want to see him actually be able to make it into the later stages of the game and then see how sneaky he can hide.
Hey man, the creativity to try to find a new hiding spot every single game with the way the circle's playing out is not easy. So credit to him. He's been able to get kind of towards the top end of all these teams.
So you guys think that, I already know chat's going to be like, oh, that's so toxic. I'm not really trying to be toxic off of this. And whenever you're playing a man down to start off with, whenever you're finding a disadvantaged position and then you lose a teammate early and then trying to find some way to go, that's trying your best there. And I'm not trying to be mean to them at all. I just want to see them towards at least the later stages of the game and then see what they can pull out.
Yeah, we just haven't really gotten to see them kind of have like a fair trade. And obviously with playing a player down, there's not a whole lot you can do. So kind of focusing back towards that middle of the pack. So today, the standings, when it started off, there was a handful of teams that were in a really good position to secure themselves. Obviously, the TSM, the Rogues, the Sentinels, etc. But there's a couple teams that have left themselves susceptible. Team Superior being one of those was 8th coming in overall, dropped down to the Bravo division. So there is a chance for some of these teams like Smile that were tied for that 9th, 10th with NRG. Teams like HRN, Sola Fide, you know, New Brainers. A lot of these teams that are kind of right in that perfect position to like really make a jump up. You're only talking like a 10, 20 point difference. So as long as they have a good day here while the other teams are kind of down in that Bravo division, it may be enough to bump them out. So I think there's a lot of potential, but overall, from what we've seen, a lot of consistency. I think the top 10 have pretty much solidified that. But you never know. All it takes is one game. We saw, I think it was Energy that had like a 56 or 58 point game or something ridiculous. So again, you can make me eat my words and show us some prizes.
Well, that's kind of where I've got my eye drawn to right now. Keep in mind, I've just got the GLL website open right now. I don't know when this last updated, so don't quote any of what I'm saying as the gospel truth. But based off of what I'm seeing right now, in that 9th place position, we've got iShiny Muffins Protectful. Then back behind them in 10th, Aim Assist has managed to creep their way forward. Superior, back over, and Bravo has dropped down into 11th position. New Brainers are right back behind everything that's going on. So big game from them. Might find them with the capabilities to push Aim Assist out of that point, or maybe even iShiny Muffins Protectful. But really, a lot of eyes right now in this last game need to be drawn towards Aim Assist and what they're going to be able to do. If they can manage to make it into the late game with some kills, their top 10 performance should be set.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are all kind of vying for that spot. So it'll be exciting to see as we got players loading into the lobby. It's going to be starting here relatively soon, and then we'll get into the drop mode and kind of jump aside our team that ended up winning last game. So again, a lot of exciting things. I think the circle hasn't played too much of a factor in this one. I don't think we've seen like the early rotations really come in and punish. It has been a lot of trading of whoever gets there first actually gets overwhelmed by multiple third parties. So we'll see how that one plays out. But I would like to see how the teams like Rogue that usually sit on the outside of the circle that have been actually benefiting from a lot of those early aggressive fights. If they're going to continue to do that, or if there's other teams that'll take that approach as well, because it has been benefiting a lot of teams being a little bit more safe.
I'm still just kind of caught up. I was listening to everything you said, but I still keep seeing the fly. I haven't been able to kung fu him yet. He keeps running around and hiding next to my light right as soon as the fight, like right as soon as the action's about to start, and I can't quite get him. So yes, thank you, GLL. Save me from the fly that's harassing me right now, so that way I can focus in just on the action. But it's going to be on Aim and Assist, our last round winners, as they're going to go ahead and make their drop. Trying to get everything situated, as we're probably going to be looking back over towards where the next circle's going to be popping in just a few moments. I like the drop point coming through, but let's see how cruel the circle is to Aim Assist.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see how this plays. This fight already breaks out here south of Repulsor. Trying to put some of that pressure down on the leading team. Big damage there. Need to crack this as there's a player that's sitting right behind it. They break one of the shields, drops the bubble down. Good shots coming out here from Aim Assist. Just taking their time on this one. The bubble's going to go down here in just a couple seconds.
I like the patience on it. Wait for the bubble to go through. Start using the traps. Find him off in the corner. Quick spray is going to connect. Not a lot, but going to go ahead and try to hit that big Gibraltar. Finally going to connect onto it. And there we go. That's going to be Aim Assist designed for gentrifying and result. Going to go ahead and be in a good position, picking up a couple of kills very early.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. That's more in the boys that are coming in that ended up getting dropped out. So that's a really big drop early on. On the other side, Team Liquid, it looks like they got Ego Challenge pretty early on, too. So losing out on Casper and Nocturnal. Flanker's the only one left alive. Curious to see how he's going to play this one. Doesn't have the movement like some of his other teammates. So not sure if he's going to be able to go back and actually get some of those banners. But either way, it's in a really rough spot. Sola Fide also under a lot of pressure. Metro, the only one still up. Shots on the backside, just trying to save out. Shots coming in. Wingman hitting for E-Boy Ronnie. It's Anime Girls. Ooh, actually using that RE45. So lethal.
Oh!
And somehow Metro's able to survive through all of that.
Good use of Gibraltar Shield, as I can say, is good awareness on how to step back through it, buying yourself an extra couple of shots. So with this, Sola Fide do manage to stand tall and survive through. Circle's going to make its way back over next to Artillery Base. Center going to be just a little bit south on the second circle with that beautiful Pathfinder information. So a lot of our teams specifically back over towards the east. Whenever we're looking around Labs, Hydro Dam, look at how many of them are stacked up and potentially going to be bumping into each other based on approaches. A lot of our teams back over towards the west might find themselves a little bit more breathing room, but Yeet Squad already on the move. Have to be careful as a couple of shots going to be coming after him. Teammate does go down, but a quick turnaround back over. Stick's going to be cost. That's going to be Nicewig going down as well. Now it's going to be Bowser, last one up for his team. Going to try to get away from this one, but already taking a lot of damage. Not a lot of angles to work with. Trying to get a couple of shots back over, buying a little bit more breathing room, seeing if he can connect onto it, but it's just a peek back and forth, repositioning away from this one, saying the fact that I need to get my shields back up before I take this. But that means it's going to be more time for the enemy team to potentially get more space as well. Bowser says, nope, just retreat away as the throwable start landing back behind him.
Yeah, S&P also third party coming in here, so kitted. Plenty of armor to work with, but it's actually a really good play by Bowser. The way that he approached that, even though he took a little bit of initial damage, he then re-peaks immediately and he's able to put down some more. So that pressure that's returned actually causes this delay from the team, so they decide not to engage as heavily as they'd like to. So really good decision here, even though he's taking a little bit of a riskier approach taking that peak. He ends up being rewarded for it. On the other side, though, Shiny Muffin's in Protectful. Just kind of going through swamp, seeing if they can find anybody else to find... If they can get some kills of their own, just haven't been able to find some. But again, I think this is Liquid. Yeah, Flanker's just enjoying the view at this point.
I like the theme. Liquid hiding over here in the falls, hoping that nobody sees him right now, hanging out in the water. Aim assist, got a little bit of control back over towards Hydro Dam. You can see looking at everything that's going on around them. And try to connect with a little bit more. A couple of tap shots going to connect for you. Scatterings of damage there, enough to at least say, hey, I think this might be the opportunity as Aim Assist goes ahead, drops down towards the rope, and is now on full-on attack mode. Running back down over through this, trying to get a little bit more high ground advantage, see what's going on. Keep in mind, we've seen a lot of teams playing around this point so far. There's a lot of solos that are just hiding out off on it. Zeinfeld's taking a lot of damage. Got to be a little bit careful as he makes his approach. I like the patience starting to come into play, while the rest of the team is now making their reposition to provide support.
Yeah, really good job by Designful. Comes in with the entry fragger. Curious to see that he used the charge rifle instead of the Mastiff right away on that first shot, but again, initial damage coming in. A lot of poke that can apply from this one as well. As they're able to take this area, but shots coming over from the northeast side. Glad to see that they commit with only one instead of multiple, but now that they have positioning, plenty of areas to work with and plenty of loot to pick up as well here.
Got to be careful, though, because the circle is coming in right now. You don't want to take any more damage from the zone unless you have to. A little sneaky peek back around the corner there is TSM's still running the crypto this time around. MVP, got to be a little bit careful as they only got 2 members up, finding themselves in a little bit of a firefight, retreating back, trying to find themselves something to work with, but got to be careful because it's going to be TSM running in with the Revenant. They've got a lot of tools to work with this one. They're on hunt, trying to see if they can spot anybody out. Don't quite see a lot close range. Take the shots off of it. Instead, we're going to be forced to come back over onto it. You know, it's going to be the Wraith thinking about making the approach back over towards the side of it. As yet again, it's going to be Howl playing back behind as full-on retreats come back through. Get the defensive line set up. No need to force this one out too far. You've got crypto. You've got the tools. Try to find some information to work with.
Yeah, MVP is finding out the full power of what can happen with this team comp. When TSM decides to run it and it's coordinated, it's almost unstoppable. They send in the EMP, they completely remove shields, they have an extra life in the Revenant ultimate. So there's so many things you can do with that pylon that, I mean, you saw it. Even if they only send one player, that's still so much information that's being provided. But they also need to be careful, as you do see Rogue on the low end side here. Plenty of teams up in this area on artillery, so got to be careful with how much pressure they apply, and I think that's why TSM backed off, as they started pushing through. You also have Energy here too, so Energy, you've got TSM, you've got Rogue, you've got MVP. There's so many players in this same area. 303 just on the outside. A lot of early rotations, so again, being aggressive, probably not the best bit.
Boy, I don't know who sent out the party invites, but this is about to be a big one in a little while. See, we've got a ton of teams stacked up around there, just like you were talking about, Lawler. Everybody's hanging around artillery. Back over towards the east, it's wide out and in the open with all the fighting that's been happening over there. You can see around Capacitor and everything. It's kind of chill. Back around Cage is really the closest team that we have to anybody playing back over towards the east. Everybody continuing to make their push back over towards the north as it's all about artillery.
Still, the difficult thing is you don't want to push too aggressively in there, even though you need to get to zone. These players just need to be careful. The nice thing about artillery is there is a lot of angles of approach that you can take, whether you want to take left or right, or just go straight up the gut. But unfortunately for 303, going straight up the gut is going to be detrimental as Fury gets dropped down. Luckily, they can go for the revive here. So even if someone decides to push through, it's probably going to be a bad spot. They know it's not worth the aggression. So they do get a player out of it, even with the Watson ultimate, but they are going to find it. They spot it over on the top side. Nafin going to be pushing through. Does get one with the Mastiff. Try to land another.
All right.
Has a Gibraltar in front of him. Needs to play this. He's in a solo opportunity. Is actually going to take the portal back to his own teammates. So having to retreat, even though they have the early aggression and the high side of it, it's just not enough. They can't commit.
Well, they've only got the 2 members, so I like the idea of knowing the fact that they can get some damage off through this. See, maybe they can get a down, equalize it, continue on the pressure afterwards. Aim assist, meanwhile, on the hunt right next to the edge of the safe zone. Looks like they're on a quick reposition based off of that. All their members back up. Designful's taking a little bit of damage, so got to be a little bit careful as he is the tail end of this. I see a little bit of a reposition coming out as Rogue going back over next to artillery base is going to be where a lot of fighting is going to be happening. You saw 303 and one of the members go down inside there. I'm not sure if we have lost all of them at this point. Gonna have to be a little bit careful as you see players are just dropping from the skies at artillery right now. It's so packed.
Yeah, you saw Rogue doing a really good job just kind of aggressing. That was where Energy initially took their fight, but because they're on the back end, but a big shot here from Energy and everybody else. I think it was Crummy with the Prowler end up taking down Rogue. So having to watch the back end. Good shots going out from Sweet. Able to get quite a bit of damage down, but Snipedown's going to be the aggressor. As always, trying to take this full head on, and he gets punished for it. So, again, multiple shots going down. Needs to play that with a hard angle, and they get punished for it. Rogue just not making the right decision. Also in the kill feed, you saw TSM getting involved as Blur and the rest of the guys, Gobble, Noble, everybody in from North. So much action happening all in the same spot, and there's still teams having to rotate in.
It feels like not everybody was aware of how many teams were in this. So the moment they started taking a fight, they're like, okay, we've finished that one out. And then 2 more teams just drop down and want to get involved inside the party. DSM is playing back over towards the eastern part. They've got a lot of control to work with right now, as it's really been the east that's getting all the action is breaking through. Smile playing back down to the south of their position right now. I was trying to see if they can get a little bit more information, seeing the fact that they hear all of everything that's going on inside of artillery, but is very comfortable just being the gatekeepers of artillery right now, just right outside the gates itself, seeing if anybody wants to make the approach back over. As you can see, 13 teams still up and active, 32 people alive, as we've seen almost all of our action being hinged around artillery so far.
Well, you're looking at a lot of the teams. Rogue left with only 1 person. Roof Koreans only left with 1. Ziploc Bags down with 2. Team Liquid also left with 1. You saw Liquid ended up going into the falls for quite a while. Looks like he's moved into the trees, so a man of many elements as he's trying to stay alive here. As No Grinners and another team, Sentinels, it looks like trying to get in a fight. We jump over to Solifide as well, who is just inside of artillery, jumping back to Sentinels, getting third party. Another shot coming out, going to drop down that bubble. It should be able to heal up here, but again, the difficulty of the positioning is they do need to rotate back to where that shot came from. So I assume they're going to completely retreat, and with that 45 seconds that's remaining on the circle, try to position on a different angle, but not going to be an easy push in.
Well, you can see the rats now hiding out. Not a lot to work with. They've got themselves right on the edge of the precipice of disaster as Eternal. I love you, man.
There's not many things certain in life, but other than taxes and eternal hiding, you know, what else do you need?
He lives up to his name. You gotta say that. Unknown finding themselves in a fight right next to Gibraltar. Gonna go ahead and lose 1. Blur's already down with this. Matt, Pick, and Crummy trying to find the approach that they want to work with, trying to get a couple of shots of good connection coming out from Crummy. He just lasered the guy up in front of him, trying to inflict a little bit more damage. Seeing if the fact that they want to go full on defense and maybe go for a res out of this, that looks like that's gonna be the option. Don't play it aggressive just quite yet. Throwables are going to be coming over the side of it. Good connection yet again, but it looks like nope, they're just going to go ahead and have to pick up the beacon and start the retreat out of this. So Unknown going to have to step away while they have bullets cascading down back behind him, and it looks like it's going to be Solifide that's going to be chasing after it.
Yeah, Solifide played that really well, and a lot of it was due to those throwables. Just that grenade on the back end side made them completely retreat, and they only had 1 piece to cover. So it's either they wait and they dedicate to that fight, or they back out and live to fight another day. So taking the more passive approach, unfortunately for Rogue, after that last player trying to rotate through gets dropped down. So Rogue has now been eliminated. After all these teams here, TSM really taking advantage of reps. Again, providing that information with crypto.
When you have 30 teams that are all stacked around you, crypto can provide so much utility inside of the situation. ISMP still raining in damage on the approach, caught up right next to the edge of the zone, trying to make sure that they flush out anybody that might be coming up back behind him. New circle has popped, and it's going to be back over towards the north of our position, continuing to go back over towards where we see artillery at. It's going to be Sentinels. Got to be careful off of this one. Crust taking a little bit of damage. Petch as well, but now just retreating away from the firefight, trying to pop everything that they can along behind them to stall any approach on invaders.
Yeah, in the middle of that all as well, we saw aim assist and multiple other teams here. Yet again, an artillery taking a bunch of engagements, but Result on the high ground, able to put down a bunch of damage to the players below. See if he can find an angle. Has one coming up, trying to bob and weave and get his way through. He's going to get pushed by multiple in the numbers game and just can't hold on. Well done for a Smile. Pushing together as a unit, able to overwhelm and remove aim assist.
Now more control coming back over towards Smile in the center of the safe zone. They've got the high ground. You guys have been hearing me talk all day about the control that can inflict on everything going on around them. Should have a chance to get back up their shields. Plenty of time with this. Now it's just a matter of how everybody back over towards the east is doing. As you can see, Unknown still charging along outside zone right now, taking a little bit of damage, but not too far away. So Lafide still looking around, seeing if maybe they can spot anybody on the approach, seeming like the fact that they might have an idea that somebody could be riding their way over through this, but doesn't want to waste too much time just quite yet. Instead, going to make their ways up the hills, trying to make their way a little bit closer back over towards Artillery, which has been, again, just the center point of everything that's been going on inside this round.
Yeah, a little bit different in this match, too. Our last one of the day, and we appreciate you guys all coming to tune in, but normally we have a lot more teams towards the tail end, but with only 8 squads remaining and a ton of options, trying to go for a cheeky spot, doesn't matter, has nowhere to bomb and weave, and makes it easy for McCarthy to pick up the kill here on the end, so going to be rewarded as a kill leader and taking out Sentinels, so kind of open in the air for these last 10 spots, as a lot of the big players have been removed, Rogue included in that. Not sure if that Watson's still able to hide for Team Liquid. Trying to get those placement points at the tail end. Another team that was in 7th coming in today, trying to get as many points as possible to keep their spot safe.
Now it's just about control. We've seen everybody playing around Artillery, but there might be a couple of gatekeepers hiding in different points. Nope, I'm willing to bet that that is a Team Liquid. Uh-oh, Solafide finding themselves in a little bit of trouble. Good spray coming out. Quick dance back and forth behind the Gibraltar shield. Going to go ahead and have another one go down. It's just Metro, last one up, but he comes up clutch. Kill leader as well, and should be able to get the reses back over for his teammates.
Solafide having a fantastic fight. Obviously one of those teams that also was retreating towards that southwest side of the circle. But able to come out. All 3 members going to be absolutely crucial in the last as we get down to 6 squads now. Energy is still there, and they have TSM up top with Smile. Reps has been doing a fantastic job with the crypto, getting a lot of that utility like you were mentioning, but not a whole lot of room to play with. Debating on how they want to take this. Going to take the portal back up top and the rift up top to get some high ground. Removing the barrier of those doors. Just debating on how they want to take this. They don't really have to force anything, and this is the thing that too many teams do. I love the play from perspective. I absolutely love that play.
Oh, it's kind of toxic in all the right ways.
Looks like the chase is on. SMP trying to find the team down below. Get down 1, 2, 3. Make it all the clear. And a little bit too easy. SMP takes no damage for that aggression.
Just a little wave as the
poor
wall came
Solafide,
through
man.
the fence. I just felt so bad, and I think we're back over towards our rat cam. Is this Liquid?
Yeah, that's the Watson from.
Thank you for letting us know there, guys. All right, so it's going to be Flanker, the last one up for his squad, but he's about to have to make a move. That bush isn't going to be able to come with you, man. So what you got now? You're going to have to make your way back over to the tunnels.
He's got a whole minute. He's got a Watson ultimate, and he's fine. He'll be fine. I'm predicting top 3 for Liquid. You just wait. Unless Reps does something.
3 with confidence.
Oh yeah, he's got this. I totally don't. I'm not confident in that prediction at all. But you know, top 3 would be.
Hey, but you said it with confidence, and that's all that matters.
That's all casting is, man.
Yeah, just say something. It's kind of like singing. Just so long as you're loud and you make it sound like you're saying something important, it's all okay. So Crypto, not going to get a lot of information with this one, but at least enough to know the fact that they're comfortable and repositioning right now. So now I got control back over towards the top of this building. Should be aware of the fact that nobody's back down as well. I believe the Crypto made the approach through that. So our tunnel boys seem to be where a lot is going on. And it looks like that's going to be the new direction that Crypto is going to go ahead and throw his drone out to try to get a little bit more. ISMP is going to be making their way back along that point and might be the ones that are spotted out by TSM playing up the tunnel.
Yeah, need to be careful, obviously, with these Watson fences. Big EMP. He does crack some armor on this one, so this could be an opportunity. They're going to take the heals and go, and this is the aggression that comes from TSM with his comp. Just so much aggression and having that extra life. Unfortunately for Rocker, he's going to be the last one. There's only 1 player left on Energy, and not a whole places to hide, and that makes it way too easy for Abaleli and the boys. And they are rewarded heavily for this team comp. They also have the zone to control too. Another team comes out, and unfortunately, Petty Boss makes it eat my words as Aberlelli, who's trying to get a heal off, gets aggressed by his Smile and put down.
Again, good awareness coming out from Smile, realizing what's going on, trying to see if maybe they can jump in, find themselves an opportunity. 4 squads left at the time. Everybody's kind of making their way. If you're not a part of the artillery party, you're already too late. Good spray coming in as ISMP just going to go ahead and chase this one down. You were pretty close with it. Flanker tried to get his way over there, but Now, it's an interesting situation. Artillery is pretty complicated the way it's set up. Smile seems to be aware of where we have one of our teams positioned at. They've got control back over towards center. TSM is playing back over towards the west of this position, and I don't know where our last team is hiding at right now.
Yeah, they're up top here. As you can see, this was the one SMP that just took out Team Liquid. So they're up top. Smile has their number right below, waiting for these guys to rotate in. They're going to have to move first. So be interesting to see how they play this. Obviously, they got the Gibraltar bubble that they can pop down. Maybe if they get lucky, they might have a portal available from the Wraith. Not sure if we have that perspective, but for TSM in a really good position, just on the backside, just kind of waiting it out. They don't really have to do anything unless they're forced to push in. So Imperial Hal, Rep's curious to see on what they can play. More importantly, too, if he has that drone and can get an EMP off here, which, I mean, you're talking only 5% for that ultimate. It could be interesting to see how it plays, but if he lands shots like that.
ISMP has control back over towards Circle right now. So with this, you can see TSM's trying to do what harassment they can back over toward ISMP. TSM might find themselves with an approach vector, but two different teams could choose to go back down the exact same time, pincerring the team that's inside the center point. It really depends on how TSM is opting into playing the Smile, already having a little bit of aggressors come back their way. Fordon now dropped back in towards their base, still hitting a couple of tap shots back over onto that one, so you at least tell them, hey, nope, we're not ready to give this one up just quite yet. 10 seconds before the zone starts to shrink down, and not a lot to work with right now. I like the aggressive step up. Smile has a lot of shield to work with. Just going to go ahead and take a quick pop on that one before they reposition back around. They've got the building complex over here, but they know that TSM might use this opportunity to approach. Always the third party is the way that this is going to be playing out. Smile now found himself in a very difficult position, having to watch two different angles, but it's going to be TSM that's just trying to gather all of the information they need before they opt into making their move.
Yeah, it's a really good play here by Smile, initially taking that damage. Unfortunately, no thermites to throw on that portal, so gonna back off, try to reposition. Need to be careful. They find the crypto. Gonna destroy the drone. Need to be careful on the backside. Taking a ton of damage. Gonna have to push in. So many teams here. Protectful trying to get dropped down. He's gonna get removed. So TSM now able to play third party. Able to come in on the backside. They have both angles of approach. And it's gonna be super simple for them if they keep landing shots like that. Arc stars galore. Just trying to take this last person down. Can they get the landing on it? So many throwables here from Imperial Hal, and is just gonna flush out this player. Trying to do whatever they can, but every angle covered by the Mastiff. So much health, and Watson trying to play aggressive, and it doesn't matter. TSM on top.
Oh, but Crypto, he doesn't have a whole bunch of ways to kill you. No, he just lets you know exactly the right moment to make the play. And whenever you've got aim like TSM does, there we go. It didn't feel right. We needed to have a TSM win. Sooner or later today.
Yeah, it was played really well by TSM on the back end. Obviously, a lot of action that went down, but they took the more passive approach because I think of what they were able to accomplish with Crypto. They knew there were so many teams nearby that they decided to stay back a little bit because they knew they were going to find themselves on the receiving end of a third party. So by staying a little bit more passive, they get that high ground, able to play towards the very west end side of artillery. And even with Solafide and 303 kind of pushing in, they took each other out. They didn't really have to worry about it. So well played by TSM on the end there. And unfortunately for Smile, just kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, in between two teams, both very aggressive. And it makes you kind of think, if they had that thermite for that rift, if they had the ability to throw that down and stop that push from happening, who knows how it would have played out.
Well, the two key factors to take away from that, when you often see people be like, oh, well, they got so much circle favor. That is a prime example of whenever you get circle favor, it doesn't always work out in your benefit because you can find yourself with too many enemies approaching too quickly. Now, we've often seen that TSM go, okay, hey guys, we need to go back to our tried and true comps. But now we're seeing TSM get success with a different style of comp. And how nervous can this make the rest of North America?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see on how many kills they got with that. Obviously, having to stay a little bit. This game in general felt very weird. I think Game 6 today was probably the most different out of any of the other matches, where America's usually pretty aggressive, nonstop action from start to finish. And this one had a lot of aggression very early rather than kind of towards those circles as we take a look at the highlights. But it felt different. I don't know what it was, man, but like this one definitely felt different with the way that the fights kept going down. Maybe it was because so many just pushed straight to artillery or what it was, but even on the south side of the map, there's multiple groupings of people that are just like, yep, we're taking fights.
Well, there was no real option. If you were in artillery, you were having to fight, and it was very prolonged fights. Like you've heard us talk about the attrition war before, where you're just burning off any type of shield regions, whenever you're burning off meds, burning through ammo. You have to be caught up in these long 10 to 15 minute fights, and sometimes it can just be so problematic. That's why whenever you've got things like crypto in these situations, you can see, oh, how do I want to take the fight? What angle can I find to approach? I don't have to worry about checking corners because I already know that this area is exactly where somebody's hiding at, and even using it to bait out fights. Our poor boy Liquid Flanker finally getting taken out there, and you can see it is just a kill box as TSM has control, just looking back down and raining so much death on everybody inside.
Yeah, really tough to kind of defend against that one. But again, the crypto coming in play and handy. You know, I was a little bit nervous, especially after that fight that they took after NRG, where, you know, Aberlele got taken out. I'm like, okay, this could be a problem, but, you know, they held it well. You saw the advantage of the EMP for the team that they initiated on first, and that's why they were so plentiful, I guess, in that last fight that they took before kind of the big last one. So again, you're starting to see some of the comps come in, and it's, I guess, more so a level of comfort. I'm still not sure if even with TSM having a big lead is going to continue with that composition. I think it's just last one of the day. Let's get some good practice with it. We'll see how it goes. Maybe they're feeling confident. Maybe they're just like, you know what? We do want to stick with this. We know the potential. And if we're feeling on today, we have to run it, because you saw the ability to turn a fight just like that, and it was all over. So well done by TSM.
I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
It's kind of a momentum comp. Whenever you can just keep constantly taking these fights, it gives you so much. The problem is if you're dealt a little bit of damage earlier, now suddenly you're having to play defensive, you find yourself in a little bit more of a precarious situation than you would whenever you're running things like Gibraltar. Whenever you find yourself in a difficult position, Gibraltar can get you out of it just with the utility that he brings. But if you want to kill, my God, that comp that TSM was bringing is a phenomenal way to do it.
Yeah, the whole point of having that composition is just to make sure you can wipe fights early. You don't want anything sustained. You don't want it third party. And if another party does come, you've already wrapped it up and you've already got all the loot from it. So that's kind of the difficulty. But you even see Gibraltar paying, and why he's so viable right now is both on the offensive and defensive side. Stuck in circle in a bad position, throw down the bubble, you'll have a little bit of time so you can start peeking and having some engagement on that side to kind of tip it back in your favor. You're on offense. You're pushing a team. You know what? The bubble's now our hard cover. We can now be right in your face, cut off any angle or any hard cover that you did have, because we took this different angle of approach. So there's a lot of versatility in why he's become more and more viable. But for teams that are just going to overwhelm with pressure, and TSM, their biggest strength has always been their coordination when they engage on a fight. It works so well. I don't know if there's any other teams that can do it quite like them with that team composition, why you don't see it, and why some haven't even bothered getting back into it. So again, TSM, I commend you for trying to push that meta forward. But while we've been kind of bantering and talking about what we're excited to see TSM, we've got the scores ready to go for you guys. So let's take a look at those as production throws them up for us here. And this is the results here for the Alpha leaderboards. Shiny Muffins, Protectful, a big match at the end there. Even though they did not get the victory, they did get all the kills at 44 points overall.
Big game coming up from them. I didn't realize how high their kill count was going. I know that they were involved in a lot, but that's going to be huge for them as they were finding themselves back down closer. I think that they were in 9th or 8th moving in whenever we were looking at everything. TSM walking away with 40 points. No surprise on picking up the round there. Smile back behind it with 24. Sola Fide Aim Assist walking away with 20 and 14 respectively. Then we've got Unknown, Sentinels, NRG, Team Liquid, and 303 Esports rounding out our top 10 for the day. But the question comes in once we start looking back over towards Bravo, how is this all going to start stacking up? What are our top 10 teams going to be? What are our bottom 10 teams that are going to have to be leaving the event? I cannot wait to see how the rest of this breaks down.
Yeah, another one to pay attention to on the other one is we're looking at this overall leaderboard is Team Liquid able to get those 10 points, may be able to help out here. And man, does it. I mean, after all 4 weeks, this is our top 10 that we're looking at overall on the leaderboard. And I mean, you're looking at today too, just overall for all 6 matches is what this is. I mean, you got equal placement points for both energy and aim assist, but the kill difference, very minimal. And it just goes to show how evenly matched energy and aim assist were today with their consistency.
Yeah, I mean, NRG just put on a sterling performance through the whole point. 38 kills back behind that. Aim assist 34. we regularly found ourselves focusing back in on NRG, Aim Assist, and Smile, as it felt like they were involved in so much of the fighting throughout the entirety of the day. 303 had themselves a good performance as well, nothing to be shy, walked away with 100 points. TSM not up at the top of the leaderboards for the first time, but they still got plenty of space to work with, guys. Don't be afraid of anything at all. Sentinels back behind that, Shiny Muffins, Protectful, Sola Fide, Liquid, and MVP rounding out where we're sitting with our top 10 right now.
Yeah, really good performances all around. As we look at our top 10 overall, these are the guys that are going to be promoting into the grand finals. You can see it here, obviously with that massive lead, and even more so still. TSM in first, Sentinels in second, and Rogue in third. From there we go down to 303, Energy, Smile, Shiny Muffins, and Protectful. Team Liquid, MVP, and they do it. Aim Assist able to fight into the top 10, securing a spot in the grand finals.
Yeah, great performance coming out. Aim Assist in their last day, managing to fight up the leaderboard there to get themselves into a good spot. With that being said, Team Superior is our #1 runner-up. So whenever we're coming back next week, you can see it's going to be 11 through 20 that are going to be fighting out in our last chance to find out who goes on to our grand finals. So be on the eye for Team Superior, Sola Fide, Noob Brainers, Yeet Squad, HRN, Unknown, Free Smoke, Ziploc Bags, TLP, and Wraith 1 Tricks to round out our top 10 that are going to be moving on. We've said top 10 quite a bit, but our top 10 going for next week.
Yeah, a little bit hard to kind of pay attention to, but overall the things to pay attention to is we have 40 teams total. These are our bottom 20. So the teams that are right now 21 through 30 are going to be joining the teams that are 11 through 20. So that is our 20 teams that will be competing next week. They will be fighting for exactly that last chance. What is their total points after all 5 weeks? Whoever is in the top 10 out of these 20 will end up joining in the grand final. And unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to 31 through 40. They have been eliminated and we'll have to try again next time. So we appreciate them coming and trying out, hopefully making some names for yourselves. We've seen multiple teams in here like Elite BR have some very shining moments in the earlier weeks, but unfortunately it is consistency that is being rewarded and they have been eliminated.
I feel so bad. Roof Koreans, they were, what, they're 6 points away, technically 7, but due to the fact that they were having some issues, that does open up the door for Anime Girls Uwu, which I know chat loves to hear about, making their way inside our top 20 for the last chance. But with this, Yukio, Roof Koreans, Team Fear OW, Abalon, The Boys, Intelligence, Resident Sleepers, LEC, Bazookas, and Elite BR Esports, please make sure you guys play through the next set of events that GLL is going to be participating in, so that way you can take the experience that you have learned in this game, try to figure out what's been going on, modify it, and come back. We cannot wait to see you perform again.
Yeah, again, it's a 5-week event. It's very cutthroat out here. Obviously, we have some open qualifiers for people with the capabilities to come in and make a name for themselves. But again, a lot of competition. We even had some teams that weren't signed up altogether, you know, the ALGS and everybody else. So again, a lot of competition out there. Apex still thriving in the sense of the competitive space. So we again appreciate these guys that, you know, even though they are eliminated now and moving forward, we hope to see them come in and compete next time. But that is going to wrap it for the day, you guys. A lot of exciting stuff all around. We had plenty of matches today, 6 in total, both 3 on World's Edge and 3 on Kings Canyon. And the big surprise, man, Energy having a fantastic day. We were wondering, when are they going to get their footing? When are they going to step up huge? Turns out it was week number 4.
I mean, there was so much to look at, as we're going to go ahead and next week we're not going to see our top 10, but it is going to be full on chaos as we watch 11 through 30 battle it out. TSM, let's be real. This was a statement moving into this point. Walking away with 124 points over second place is a massive performance moving forward. I cannot wait for the grand finals and to see what our next 10 teams are going to be selected.
Well, that is going to wrap it up for guys. For Lawler, Matchroom, all the guys behind the scenes of production, we greatly thank you for tuning in and watching week 4 of the GLL Masters Summer. But that does it for us. We'll be back next week. Last chance ditch effort for all of these teams. Like we said, 11 through 30. It's going to be a bloodbath and we can't wait to tune in. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.